Hello, good evening and welcome ladies and gentlemen to another round of exciting racing action in the UKSimRacing Sunday GT3 Championship Season 19 as brought to you on the premier sim racing platform available only on PC, known as iRacing and proudly hosted by none other than SRI, that's SimRacing International. And it's time for round number 4 of this season's championship and we have made our way to the US of A's brilliant Road America circuit for our first endurance race round of the season. The classic halt circuit located in the state of Wisconsin is one of a rarity in the modern era. Opened in 1955, the circuit has not been revised in terms of its layout at any point over its extensive 71-year history. Indeed, the exact layout you see here today is the layout that it started its life with, and at 4.04 miles in length and consists of 14 corners, it is a true power circuit at its core. Long straights, tight corner sequences, and it all adds together to create a circuit where it's all about the need for speed and trying to outrun your rivals into the straights and indeed into those heavy braking zones. But a good bit of cornering capability is not going to go awry, as our drivers will need to make sure they're not hung out to dry for its hairpins and its sweeping bends, and the right mixture of confidence through the corners and speed on the straights could be the key to victory, as well as an all-important piece of strategy, particularly when we do have 90 minutes of racing on hand. But who exactly is going to outlast the circuit with mixed weather conditions also expected and coming victorious? Well, that's what we're here to find out in this post-round broadcast. Indeed, you're catching all the racing action as if it were live, with the racing having occurred on Sunday the 26th of July 2026. We're bringing it to you as if it were live today, this Monday the 27th of July. And therefore we do not know what goes on, whether it be in the qualifying session that's just got underway in the background, or indeed, most importantly, the race where all the points will be rewarded. And that's why it's going to be as close as possible to the raw, live viewing experience for you guys and girls tuning to home. Alas, where are my manners? Allow me to formally welcome you to this broadcast. Indeed, you're catching all the racing action, the only place you can do so on a weekly basis from Season 19 of the SimRacing International hosted UKSimRacing Sunday GT3 Championship, and it's on youtube.com and search for SimRacing International SRI. In the content booth you have myself, my name is Paul Walsh, uninitiated, and I shall be your host and commentator throughout the season. And as we make our way into our 4th instalment of Season 19, let's bring you up to speed with the story so far, who the main characters are, who the side characters are, and of course what the true narrative could be going into Elkhart Lake. But as we can see, taking a look back through our calendar, last time out we began our American doubleheader at the Virginia State Circuit of VIR, Virginia International Raceway. There on the 19th of July, it was the third of our 1-hour races under sunny skies. But what exactly did go down in the US state of Virginia is the big question we all want the answer to. Well, firstly, it was a very interesting round when you consider how many drivers made the way to the circuit, a Marmite circuit. 44 drivers made the way, some absolutely loved it, some absolutely loathed it, and some found themselves right in between. However, there was no difference in terms of being in between for Adam Watson, who set the pace into a late improvement for Philipp Hammer, saw Hammer take the overall and pro pole position by only 13 hundredths of a second. The front row pair of Hammer and Watson were 1.4 tenths clear of Harvey Wheeler and Ashley Coupland on the second row, and Michael Schützer-Kelderback delivered a season best 5th place in qualifying, only a further 6 thousandths behind. Pete Cox took the interpole position with 7th overall, a brilliant lap from him, and he was the best part there of 13 hundredths quicker than Robin Powney, who lined up 2nd in class and 10th overall, and Tom Cordy was only a further half a 10th behind for 12th place overall. But as for club, it'll be Ryan Clark who took his maiden class pole position with 26th overall, and he was a 10th faster than Jordan Maymar, who started right behind him, and Tom Wheeler was a further 1.5 tenths behind. But in the race, well, we saw some huge incidents in the open lap, including Ashley Coupland's car getting loose out to turn 6, which would end up collecting the interpole to Pete Cox and Robin Powney, the 2nd place starter, and it caused Cox to DNF as a result, a non-finish for him, and Robin Powney was sent down the order. Daniel Kovac ran wide at turn 3, dropping down the order, and Jordan Maymar had a major spin on the exit at turn 1 due to the concertina effect with the back of Tom Wheeler's car, and whilst it was dubbed a racing incident at the time, of course, it didn't feel like one for Maymar at the time. It sent him all the way to the back, and he had to put in a huge amount of recovery work, did Maymar. But it meant some drivers lost several places. Ryan Clark as well went very wide at turn 1 and lost the club lead, whilst others were able to gain massively, including Cy Anthony, who went from 4th in Inter to the lead, and Tom Wheeler went from 3rd in club to the lead of the class. But after the opening 5 minutes of the race, more drama would be found. In terms of battling, a three-way fight for overall and pro lead between Hammer, Watson and Harvey Wheeler, a seemingly in-control interlead in the form of Cy Anthony initially, and the same for club leader Tom Wheeler. But then, from what was a straightforward run for our leaders in the classes of both club and Inter, things took a bit of a turn, because on lap 13, Cy Anthony would make an error which would open up the interlead battle to be in between Max Wheeler, Tom Cordy, Cy Anthony and Matthew Bacon, and further back, Jim Fox began a major crusade to recover from an incident on lap 8 to chase down the top 5 in the club class, making some daring moves along the way. away, and he would secure that 5th place in class, taking it from Tobias Håkansson in the closing stages of the race. And the pit stops brought more surprises as well, with Harvey Wheeler going the longest of everybody with a 24-lap opening stint, which brought him much closer to Hammer and Watson at the start of the second stint, but it proved all for naught in the battle for the pro win. Meanwhile, after Cy Anthony's second spin in the interclass, it became a straight battle for the win between Max Wheeler and Tom Cordy, and Cordy jumped Max Wheeler in the pit lane, only for the pair to battle incredibly hard in the second stint. And in the club class, Ryan Abbott's pulled off an incredible piece of strategy to jump right onto the back of race leader Tom Wheeler, and the pair would battle as well all the way to the end of the race for the class win. But who exactly were your winners then at VIR? Well, over on Pro, it was Philipp Hammer who would take his second win of the season, taking that pole position, of course, and in the end gradually putting the gap of 2 seconds before the pit stops, and after him he would open up the gap for a second time by 2.6 seconds to take a faultless drive to victory. But in Inter and Club, it was a day of winners at Wheelers, because we got to see Max Wheeler take that 5th place in qualifying for the interclass, but in the end, with Cy Anthony dropping the ball and an incredible battle between Tom Cordy and Max Wheeler, which he lost the lead in the pit lane to Tom Cordy, only to take it back with a bold move under braking on lap 29 to turns 14 and 15, after which he'd hold off Cordy by 4.5 tenths at the finish line. Max Wheeler would take his maiden win of the season and his series career. And the same would be echoed for Tom Wheeler in the club class in the end, converting 3rd place in qualifying to the victory, but had to dig in incredibly deep versus Ryan Abbott, who in the end spluttered to the finish line by running out of fuel with only 500 metres to go. But indeed, Tom Wheeler was kept honest every step of the way, and he would essentially take the win by an extended margin of 16 seconds ahead of Jordan Butler. But the reality was, it was only tenths between him and Ryan Abbott, and if Abbott had got it right as a strategy, what could it have been? We'll never know. But indeed, it was a victorious day for the Wheeler family, and it leads us very nicely here into round number 4 of Road America. The first are 3 mixed weather conditions rounds. The first are endurance races as well. We have 3 of those on the calendar, and it's a 90-minute race here today. After which we'll be wrapping up the first half of the season in a week's time on the 2nd of August at the Hockenheimring Baden-Württemberg in Germany, and it will be another mixed weather conditions round there, albeit only 1 hour racing on the cards. But how does this set us with regards to the standings coming into round number 4? And as we can see, starting with the Pro Drivers' Championship standings, it is Philipp Hammer who leads the way now for 2nd and 2 wins. He's building a win streak for pole promotion with ASR Esports, and right now can Harvey Wheeler or anybody else slow him down? Harvey Wheeler took the opening win of the season, the defending champion for Verso Rapid, and he's had 2 third-place finishes back-to-back, so it's not as though he's lacking for achievements. However, he needs to find that final 5% to close the gap to Hammer. That's the definite point. And as we can see, Tim Probert there moves into 3rd for Send It Racing, albeit it was a 9th-place finish last time out, not the result he wanted whatsoever. Indeed, mixed fortunes definitely found it at VIR, and being caught up in the open lap instance, he had to go on a recovery drive to recover to 9th. However, of course, he had the top 5 pace at VIR. He was never allowed to show it. Behind him, it's none other than Jason Baxter, only 10 points adrift there, not on the grid last time out, and the World Ride Motorsports drive will not be on the grid for this round either, so therefore expect him to be back for absolutely fighting fit in round number 5. And then we see Adam Watson with that 2nd place, his first podium of the season the last time out. We now moves into 5th place there for Altitude at 3M Esports with Simcast Racing, and therefore now Adam Watson knows he's got the bit between his teeth and he's got to make up for the time he lost in the season opener. Michael Schutzer-Kederbach, with his best result of the season, sits in 6th place there for that 4th place. Now 2 top 5s for him at 156 points. Then we do have Mikey Stewart equal on points there, but it's the Delta result countback that puts Mikey Stewart for Axis Sim Sport with SimCoach behind him. Timo Gertner for World Ride Motorsport sits in 8th and yet to achieve a top 5. But notice the mathematical progression there of his results. A 9th, an 8th and a 7th, so it does mean surely he's got to finish 6th today. If he does that, he'll be the first driver I've ever witnessed in a sim racing or real life motorsporting broadcast where they've had a numerical progression of results for 4 rounds in a row. Miller Boyd starts in 9th place there for Send It Racing, and well, he's on 126 points today, and whereas he finds himself going into this one, Ashley Koopman joins in on 126 points. How the difference between the two of them, once again, result count back with Boyd having the more favourable results. Behind the top wing racing driver then have Troy Anderson for Wild Road Motorsports and Hayden Young for Send It Racing, completing a pro top 12. Then we go to the Interclass. And with his maiden win of his career on the board in the UKSimRacing Sunday GT3 Championship, Max Wheeler has taken over at the top in his Audi R8 Evo 2 LMS, and the Verso fast driver right now 2 podiums. We'd definitely be happy there to stay one step ahead of the rest of the field. Speaking of which, he has a 60-point advantage over Wesley Van Rens, the Dutchman there for Lewis Homewood Racing, and there's a bit more work to be done. But the same can be said for Matt Bacon, taking his maiden podium at the last time out their 3rd place finish, but the Ferrari driver for worst racing team ever, well, he definitely wants to have more podiums than that if he wants to close the gap down to the leader. He has moved ahead of his teammate, however, by 14 points of Robin Pownier. It was a difficult day for him, taking that 10th place last time out, when it could have been potential chance of his 2nd win of the season. And behind the smiling Swede, it'll be the Briton of Tom Cordy, maiden podium of the season last time out. And the Phoenix Racing driver so close to taking that win, indeed refinding the form from the late end of season 18. Luke Sherlock, the privateer, sits in 6th for 8 behind, but he in turn is 6 ahead of Ashley Brooks at Axis in Sport with SimWorks. Was on the grid last time out, but we hope to see him back today. Dean Collins, worst racing team ever. Tiago Reyes for Lewis Homewood Racing, and Cy Anstey for Team UKSR. They complete your top 10. And the Jackie Stewart tribute driver there ahead of Jack Barker, his long-standing rival, by 16 points, and it's a further 2 points to Graham Vivas for Phoenix Racing. Then to the club class we go, and as we can see, leading the way, yet to take a win this season, only one podium at 5th and the 7th, James Connolly for Team UKSimRacing, and well, last time it definitely wasn't the round he wanted, a tough qualifying session of a 10th place, and in the end, whilst he did benefit from the lap 1 instance, he never had the pace really to maintain his promoted positions, and did slip back to 7th place in the end. But Daniel Page, the man who took back-to-back wins in rounds 1 and 2, missed last round. However, he hasn't necessarily been the runaway star. He's had a lot of fortune his way, and he's also proven that sometimes you just got to be smooth and consistent to lead the way. And right now, the Portuguese driver, we hope to see him back today. And if so, could he potentially make it a 3rd win of the season? Well, we'll have to find out. As the old dudes in cars driver then be followed up 6 points behind by Jordan Butler for Spectre Racing. He's had a 3rd, he's had a 2nd last time out, so surely today he's got to have a 1st. Tom Wheeler, meanwhile, he'll definitely be looking to make it back-to-back first place finishes for Reverso Rapid after his maiden career win. And well, he's ahead of Jordan Maymar now by the best part there of 22 points. Behind the Simcast Racing with Altitude Frame Esports driver, we then do have Ryan Abbott's in 6th for Team Noobish. Nothing noobish about the performance he had last time out with that 4th place. And Gianluca Rospo for Deep Motorsport, taking his first result outside of the top 10. Wasn't a happy day at VIR. Indeed, the same could be said for Ben Knowles of 5M Racing, who knew there was a top 5 on the cards. Ryan Clark and none other than Tobias Hutchinson complete the top 10 there for Spectre Racing and Hexagon Slow, respectively. And then we do have Matthew Hunt in 11th place there for Simcast Racing UK, head of Steve G, rounded off your top 12 in the club class. But then for the team standings, and here we can see after our first 3 rounds, it's Verso Rapid who lead the way, only based on result countback versus pole promotion with ASR, but it's so tight between the two teams. No points separate them, but there's a sizable delta there of 104 points to Verso Fast. And right now, the two Verso teams looking to make it a 1-2 this season, but they've got to get going a little bit quicker. They need to be faster if they want to be able to close down that top 2. Simcast for Altitude Frame Esports, they sit in 4th, a further 16 points behind, but internally 14 ahead of Revolution 3 Racing, also known as Lewis Homewood Racing. And then outside the top 5, only 4 points behind is Spectre Racing SimWorks UK. They know they've had mixed fortunes so far, but they'll be hoping their fortunes could turn slightly more upwards after what was a missed opportunity at VIR, potentially to make it 1-2. And then we do see worst racing team ever, 42 in 7th place with 298 points. They're the best part, 14 ahead of Wild Ride Motorsports, definitely feeling the pinch with the absence of Jason Baxter, but he will be back next round, and therefore we look forward to seeing the team rise from the ashes. Team UKSimRacing at Damon Hill, they sit in 9th place with 262 points, and for both drives, once again, a day of difficulty. And right now, when are they going to truly hit their stride? As old dudes in cars Amnesia complete your top 10 on 252 points, and outside that top 10, the best part of 8 points behind, it's Send It Racing, who slipped from 6th to 11th and want to break their way back into the top 10 as soon as humanly possible. But the standings reviewed, let's bring up speed with our host circuit for today. Here's, of course, the full course layout of Road America, located near the village of Elkhart Lake in Sheboygan County of the US state of Wisconsin. 4.04 miles in length or 6.51 kilometers, but that's your dependence on units. But what never changes regardless of units is the number of corners. 14 in total, and a huge thank you to iRacing.com, not just for the brilliant simulator, but the absolutely fantastic track maps contained within it. And many of these corners household names in the United States of America, if not around the globe, as the drivers will roar the way up the start finish straight from the lowest point of the circuit at turn 14 to the highest point of the circuit at turn 1, and they go into the sweeping right-hander. Downhill they'll plunge with the kink of 2 and in towards the sharp 90-degree right-hander at turn 3, before going full throttle through the moraine sweep and in towards the hairpin at turn 5. Through the sharp left-hander, it's then into the very tight middle sector where all the corners are concentrated, so drivers will make their way uphill into a blind apex left-hand right-angle corner at turn 6, and then they'll make their way through hurry downs and roar the way into the braking zone for turn 8. As they come hard onto the brakes for another left-hand 90-degree corner, it'll then be going into the carousel. Turns 9 and 10 now, it's all about the double apex and nailing the connecting points, as they then make their way flat out into the kink at turn 11. The corner that can make or break a race, as they then charge their way down towards Canada Corner at the high speeds possible and sharply onto the brakes. Coming out to the right-hander, they'll then be uphill through the chicane at turns 13 and 13A before they sweep the way into turn 14 to complete lap and do it all over again, but not without a full throttle charge to the timing line. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's make our way back to circuit side and see how our drivers are getting on for the best part of 14 minutes of qualifying left to go. And as we do come back to circuits at the moment, how is everybody looking? Well, what we can see is definitely right now a few drivers there looking quite rapid. Others, meanwhile, got some time to find, including Michael Schütze-Gerderbach, who are right now sitting in 17th place there, not in a happy place whatsoever. And that does amount to the grand total being right towards the back end of the top 10 in the pro class currently. But a lot of drivers got some time to find. And well, I can tell you one thing, the fact that we have got a couple of pro drivers who've yet to get laps together, including none other than Ashley Coupland and also Casper Brotner, as Casper Brotner makes his way across that timing line. And right now the 128 driver definitely yet to get a lap of the board, and we'll be wanting to try and make some progress as soon as he humanly possibly can, because this is not normal for him. He's normally the first to get a lap of the board, even if it is a banker. But as he rolls his way through turn number 3, well, meanwhile, I can tell you one thing as well, we are looking at some very quick inter-drivers out there. Ashley Brooks, the fastest of all the inter-drivers at the moment. He's currently 3rd place overall there, only 2 tenths off the overall pole time being set by Philipp Hammer, and Mikey's shot only 4,000ths off that. We'll come back to that story very shortly. Right now, Ashley Brooks weaving from side to side down the start-finish straight, and no, it's not because he's had too much to drink, it's because he's trying to get as much tyre temperature as humanly possible here as he makes his way through turn number 1. And well, the next lap will be a flying lap. He's just getting himself set up right now as he rolls his way down towards turn number 3. Again, finding the close company of Cy Anstey, and well, surely this is not going to be a repeat of VIR today for Cy Anstey. He's had mixed fortunes in the United States of America over the last decade of seasons, or what you would say is the best part of the last 3.5 years of racing here, where he either does seem to go very well at American circuits. See rode Atlanta all the way back in season 9, in his incredible season finale battle with Sam Congreve. Alternatively, seen some other reference points, such of course last time out at VIR, where things went very wrong for him. But as he's now split from Brooks by Tim Probert, who's just improved, and well, a tenth between himself and Probert, and a further tenth to Brooks, right outside, and he'll be happy to be starting towards the front, and his full process will be, if I can't win on qualifying pace, I'll try to win on strategy. As he makes his way through, Jack Wyborn makes his way into the pit lane, and that is a perfect time to introduce one of our 2 newcomers, and this is from the MRC Endurance team. Jack Wyborn joins the grid, and well, he, alongside his teammate of none other than what will be, as I make sure I get the name right here, as I double check through my notes, which do seem to have led me slightly astray. Please bear with me just a brief moment, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get those notes back shortly. And that is Stephen Parker Hamilton. Both of them joining the grid, and we have Jack Wyborn joining in the interclass, and meanwhile Stephen Parker Hamilton joining in, as he's not currently out there on circuit, unfortunately, but he'll be joining in the club class. And the MSC Insurance team drivers, well, they are joining and taking the places of what will be the Joshua Pratt and Jackson Stout, respectively, who unfortunately have had to withdraw due to availability for the remainder of the season. But of course, that's why we do have our reserve list there. I do have Stephen Parker Hamilton's car now making it out the pit lane, and well, that's a photo opportunity I've ever seen one. They knew we were going to do this, so I reckon they knew we were going to introduce them, and so both cars making their way out the pit lane there, both sporting a pair of McLaren 720S Evo machines, and we wish them all the best luck. And they're no strangers to the UKSimRacing GT3 Championship grid, with Stephen Parker Hamilton making his debut all the way back in, I want to say, season 12, if my memory serves me correctly, albeit has not had the biggest shout home result over a course of any season he's competed in. And also Jack Wyborn making some brief stints previously alongside Parker Hamilton. So the team are back once again for MRC Endurance, and we're very happy to have them back, and wish them all the best luck on their season 19 campaign. I hope to see some great results from them, or indeed see them push forward. I do believe Stephen Parker Hamilton's average finish position, as he has typically been in the lowest tier of class, which nowadays, of course, is known as the club class. Previously, we've had so many different names for it, whether it be Evo, alternatively the Bronze class, or indeed the AM class. And I do believe Stephen Parker Hamilton's relative average finish position has roundabout been 6th place, if my memory serves me correctly. And as he makes his way from right now, the 399 driver looking to try and break his way straight into the top 5. And to be fair to him, he is currently the 5th fastest in the club class provisionally in this qualifying session, so it's already a bit of an upward trend. Meanwhile, for Jack Wyborn, where's he been in the past, I hear you ask? Well, his story, as I've just double checked what notes I've got available in, I think for Jack Wyborn he has typically been around the same, and he's oscillated between the lowest tier and the middle tiers. Of course, we have previously had a 5-class grid. That was back in the era of what was season 13 through to season 15, where you had your diamond drivers, you had your platinum drivers, your gold drivers, your silver drivers, and your bronze drivers. goodness me, it's all coming back to me just like this, ladies and gents. It's almost as if it was only yesterday. And of course, then you also had the era of, say, the Pro Pram and the AMs. We also had the era of the Elite, the Pros, the Prams and the AMs as well. We've had quite a few eras when it comes to classes, and that's what happens when you have such a long-standing championship. However, as I do start to go down memory lane, well, meanwhile, let's come back to why we're here in terms of drivers getting on. And Jack Wyburn right now, currently the full fastest in the interclass, so looking quite quick out there as he makes his way around. And well, as he does so, comes 6.5 tenths off of the pole time. Speaking of which, we haven't really introduced our original pole sitter at the moment, have we? Philipp Hammer looking to try and go 3 for a row as he makes his way on down the middle stretch. And he does so going under the Sargento cheese board there. Well, he's definitely going to be making sure that his defences today have got less holes in them than Swiss cheese as he makes his way through turn number 5. And well, at Spa, of course, it was all about having the right setup on the car to make sure that his closest rivals could not pass him on the straight once he got ahead of them. Last time out at VIR, it was about just keeping his cool under pressure, and with that composure being able to fend off Adam Watson and bring home that second win. What's it going to be here today? Particularly when you consider that Mikey Stewart is the second fastest right now, only 4 thousandths behind, and is taking us around for a flying lap as well. Perfect timing as he makes his way in towards turn number 1. So breaking his way there at the 100-metre cone as he comes through the opening bend, and it's downhill in towards turn number 3. Through the Kinker 2, looks to his left-hand side of his brake marker, and we're braking just after the 2 board there, denoting 100 metres. He rolls his way out to the right-hander, and now back on the throttle nice and early. It's all about early throttle on exit, so you need to get that throttle pedal down as soon as possible, because every second you spend off the throttle, you lose time. But as he makes his way down towards turn number 5, finds a bit of traffic in front of him, picks up a distant tow, however, that will help him, as that's why the old dudes in cars, Porsches, are stepping aside, breaking his way down to the 90-degree left-hander, braking a bit later there, trying to carry the overspeed as much as possible, went slightly wide of apex, but gets it together, now brakes under the Corvette bridge, and going in towards turn number 6, completely blind when you brake for turn 6, you do it on muscle memory, and the hope the corner is there, as we do see one of the MRC Endurance Team McLaren step aside, and now make his way down towards turn number 8, as that was Jack Wyburn he's just passed, and on to brakes he goes here. Now going into turn number 8, a corner that so many, even the pros, get wrong. But he gets absolutely right to Stewart as he makes his way into the American carousel. Now, does he go for the double apex approach here? No, he goes for a smoothed off U-shape approach here. There's 2 ways to skin it, and this is perhaps the better line for qualify. It's the more efficient line for lap time, as he now makes his way up towards the kink. Let's listen in. And completely flat out there for the fastest corner in the US of A as he now makes his way down towards Canada corner. And once he gets ready for the braking zone for turn number 12, looks to his left-hand side here. And as soon as he comes to the kink, onto the brakes at 150 metres to the corner, down from 6th gear all the way to 2nd, mounts the curve as aggressively as he can. And now coming up the hill in towards turns 13 and 13A, the left into right chicane here. Fast chicane this is, and it can cause the rear of the car to step loose, particularly for mid-engine rear drive, but not for Stewart as he breaks his way over the bump in the road into turn 14, bringing the car through the corner. Lovely line there from Mikey Stewart. Heads towards the timing line, also picking up a draft here off of a Porsche in front of him. This is going to massively help him as he makes his way towards the line. It could see him go for pole position here. Let's wait and see whether that's going to be the case for Stewart as he crosses the line. What's it going to be? It's a 2:02.556. It's nowhere near as close as he previously has gone. I wonder when the time was lost, it must have been from those slightly wide apexes, particularly at turn number 5, which would have cost him a temp, and also perhaps going in towards what was turn number 3, where he went a little bit deep into the corner and didn't get the throttle down as early. But definitely picking up the draft in all the right places as the 5-11 racing machine there almost loses the rear end in front. They seem to catch each other just in the nick of time there as they make the way onwards. But if it's Philipp Hammer and Mikey Stewart looking out things at the front of the overall field and in pro, we talked about Inter. So what's going on in club meanwhile? Well, it's almost as if he's been listening to the briefing going into this one, because James Connolly is currently the fastest driver out there in club, currently making his way down pit road with 5 minutes to go. And the UKSimRacing Hill driver, of course, the tribute livery there to the Williams racing machine of Damon Hill, the championship winning car all those many years ago, winning in the battle with his teammate of Gilles Villeneuve at Suzuka, of course, with the infamous moment of Murray Walker going, "It's Villeneuve! It's Villeneuve! He's off the circuit!" That was probably the worst Murray Walker impression I could ever do, and you have to forgive me, ladies and gents, my voice is a little bit sore from circuit commentary over the weekend, so I'm having to nurse it a bit at the moment. But as James Connolly makes his way around through turn number 1 at the moment, well, your number 346 driver looking impressively quick, and well, guess who's also looking quick? He's back, Mr. qualifying setter in terms of the club class. It's Harry Tuominen who returns to the grid after missing the last couple of rounds. Great to see him back for hexagon slow, and the reason why we call him the qualifying pace setter is because in every round he has attended so far, so the pre-season event and also round number 1, Harry Tuominen has been the quickest driver without a doubt in the club class over a single lap. But of course in round number 1, what cost him the win was strategy, and then changing all 4 tyres, but he perhaps didn't need to. He's gone very deep there into the corner and decides to take his way back to the pit lane. But let's not forget about his teammate, Tobias Håkansson, and hexagon slow outfit. We do look forward to seeing what the Nordic team can do, because we do expect them to be a very strong partnership out there, and well, we're definitely looking forward to seeing how they ascend in the racing that is to come. But we do see him make his way on around right now for Tobias Håkansson. This is currently what equates into being none other than 9th fastest in the club class currently, as he makes way a bit wide there out of the carousel. That's going to invalidate the lap, and immediately cools the car down there before going into the kink to make sure he doesn't step into the line of the racing line, that is, of none other than James Connolly, I do believe. But in fact, that was not James Connolly, that was one of our other Ferraris going on out there, and I believe that was the car of Pete Cox, and indeed it was, as he makes his way onwards there for the Verso Rapid team. But as he rapidly makes his way on to the race, not long to go in qualifying now. And, well, in terms of the times that are coming, are there any big surprises out there that we are seeing? Well, perhaps the biggest surprise of them all is just the delta that is really forming out in the Interclass. But Road America is a bit of an oddball circuit, because we, of course, we do have a lot of endurance events here on iRacing, official events, that is, Road America. And also it does typically form one of the staple circuits of any GT3 official series calendar. So the full process here is that in reality, Road America could be one of those circuits that, given its popularity, is going to bring out a few Road America specialists, but also it will see some drivers who do nothing but lap Road America really shine. That's not to be disparaging or indeed be rude about them. If anything, it's a compliment when a driver is a specialist at a given circuit, and indeed is something to be respected. It does mean, of course, you may see some anomalies in the laps and the results here. Those can always serve to mix things up, as Michael Schütz back. Moves back up to 15th place there, 202.531. But right now, when you do consider that it's 11th in Pro, and indeed he is the lowest of our Pro drivers who has set a lap within the top 40, this is not good reading for him right now, and this is not where he wants to be. He'll be definitely wanting to find his way a bit further forward rather than backwards. But as all the drivers make the way around, well, coming down towards what will be turn number 5, still a bit more work to be done there for Schütz, no doubt about it. But less than 2 minutes left on the clock. And as I do see Timo Gertner here, and he appears on camera, just make his way in towards the final corner. So look out of my elongated commentary booth tower. And what I can tell you right now is that for Timo, he's doing quite well, though that's going to be the end of his qualifying session, goes no further. And, well, we'll have to wait and see what his game plan will be when he does make his way out to the circuit under race conditions. Now, one of the big elephants in the room we haven't really talked about is the weather conditions here. Now, this is a mixed weather conditions round. What are we expecting timeline-wise? Because just to fill you in, here at SimRacing International, we run timeline weather, not forecasted weather, and that is because we want some degree of control of the weather conditions. If you've ever raced on iRacing in a forecasted weather race, where the weather is expected some rain at some point, you'll know that even when it's meant to be light rain that may come at some point during the day, it normally ends up being monsoon season. And the thing is, it's enough rain sometimes to affect the red flag of racing in real life, so why would we want to race in what would be monsoon conditions? And that's why we go with timeline weather, because you still have the element of mixed weather conditions out there. You take away the very scary factor, which is that we could see the rain evolve in such an aggressive way that in it really becomes a race which is about survival rather than being able to enjoy racing in challenging conditions. At the end of the day, as much as we do enjoy seeing what is drivers have to really try to conquer the conditions, the last thing we want is the equivalent of the grid start from the 1998 Spa-Francorchamps Belgian Grand Prix in Formula 1, if anybody remembers that one, and of course the infamous instance that followed that, and of course the infamous 1-2 for Jordan Racing under the helm of Eddie Jordan, as run by none other than what was Damon Hill and Ralph Schumacher. Although controversial perhaps that 1-2 for certain reasons, but that's a whole different story. And of course we'd recommend checking out Aidan Millerwood's channel on YouTube if you want to know the story all about that. But as we do see Luke Sherlock coming to time and going on to his final flying lap, We are expecting that the rain will arrive around 45 to 50 minutes into the race. It will be light. It will last about half an hour. So therefore, the final 10 to 15 minutes of the race will just see cloud over the circuit and no rain falling. So we are going to see a transition from slicks to wet tyres at some point, and it will be about conquering it. But with the rain coming so late and with our fuel tanks quite restricted, it does mean that fuel saving could really prove to be the most valuable tool in your arsenal to survive to get to when the rain arrives in this endurance race. And remember, of course, the fact that no extra points are up for grabs in this round. This is still a standard 100-point round. We only award extra points in the final 3 rounds of the season in the Showdown stage. 50% more points there, so it becomes 150 for a win. So therefore, this round is like any other in the first 7 rounds. It is also a droppable round. Drop scores will be tallied into the championship tables after this round as well, and we'll show you those provisional standings after round 4, after this broadcast is complete. So therefore, do keep that in mind, that this is one of those rounds whereby it actually may be quicker to go slower, because you may only need to make the one pit stop to go from what will be the slick tyre to the wet tyre, rather than do a double stop, because we know the fuel tank typically lasts somewhere in the region of 35 to 45 minutes. But as Troy Anderson improves to an 8th right at the end there at 202.334. Good luck for him, sixth in pro. Well, Philipp Hammer right now seems to have got this all sealed and done as he weaves his way between the corners. And Hammer right now definitely back it off there, and I think just making sure to look after the car. But what's happening for Jordan Maymar as he makes his way through the last quarter here, finds Hammer stepping aside, so he's not going to get a draft whatsoever. But Maymar's been very quick, personal best in the final sectors. And well, it's going to continue in the BMW M4 Evo drive's favour as he heads towards the line. He's currently 37th, and as he crosses the line, it's a 203.567. It's a good lap for him, and that is going to put him 7th in the club class, so a sizable improvement there. But I think he'll feel as though there was more on the table, perhaps. So Stephen Parker Hamilton on his debut seems to have taken the provisional club pole here, and that's been a late improvement from him, but a good lap from Stephen Parker Hamilton. In fact, his final lap, his 12th tour of the circuit under qualifying conditions, as Jim Fox is going to be the last try to get a valid lap together. And he makes way on around, and as he does so, what's it going to be here for Fox? He heads towards the timing line, and the answer to that question is going to be for the 380 drive as he rises up the hill. What we're about to see as he comes charging through, and it does seem as though for Fox here, this is not going to be an improvement. Now, we have not had a qualifying lap from Ashley Coupland. He has no qualifying ban in play as we understand it, so therefore he's just not had the opportunity to get out there. Perhaps a technical issue with the car. Let's wait and see if he does make his way to the grid. But qualifying is complete, ladies and gentlemen, and it is going to be Philipp Hammer who takes pole position overall ahead of Mikey Stewart. The 2 pro drivers separated by 4 thousandths of a second, and it's a further 2 attempts to your interpole sitter of Ashley Brooks. Well, how about that? A very impressive lap there from Brooks, and then we will see starting 4th Tim Probert, and then Casper Rotner behind, and he'll be joined on the 3rd row by the inter-driver Cy Anthony, who in the end was 2 tenths behind Brooks' pole time in the inter-class. Then you've got a sizable gap to 13th before you do get to Peter Cox, and Jack Wybe on his debut taking 4th place there in the inter-class alongside Cox on that 7th row. Well done to the pair. And meanwhile, Stephen Parker Hamilton takes club pole 24th, head of James Conley with a very impressive lapman and leather squeezes between them, and Harry Terminen loses his right to be 10 out of 10 when it comes to what is those qualifying times of the club class, because he'll only be taking 3rd place in a club here today, but he wasn't too far for Conley's pace, so therefore we look forward to seeing what the game plan will be from him to try and make amends tonight. He's not necessarily the quickest driver down in the club class over a single lap. But as we do make our way into the 5-minute warm-up period, this period now available here for our Giants just to calm things down. Of course, some drivers will make their way out there, including the wonderful Simcast Racing Team 310 machine of Matthew Hunter. And I just want to say a huge thank you to Simcast for giving me the opportunity to recently make a second appearance on the Simcast Racing podcast. And indeed, it was absolutely great to chat to Matt Hunter. And, well, we had a very special guest on there. I won't spoil it for you, but I'll tell you one thing. Go check out the recent episode. Not about me. I'm not a special guest at the end today. I'm a nobody compared to the guy they did have on. I won't spoil who, but when you see who the name is, you'll probably think, well, who is that? And then when you look at their resume, you will know immediately. And Matt did an absolutely brilliant job there. Unfortunately, Stephen Wilkinson not able to take part in that edition of the podcast. I was doubling up a little bit, filling in my role as Timu Stephen Wilkinson, if you will. I think Steve was quite happy with me filling in for him, but it'll be business as usual for the team as of what will be the weeks and days ahead. But as Matt makes his way around right now, well, I'll tell you one thing, he'll be very eager to try and have a good race out this one. And of course, remembering the little bit of heartbreak he did have in the season opener, where he thought he had taken the podium on his return to the grid at Bathurst, only to find out afterwards, due to a bit of a clerical error, actually he was 4th because of the clerical error with Daniel Pays, who had the wrong door number on his car, but he was a club driver, but he had an inter-door number. So for Hunter, got out the car, celebrated 3rd, and if anybody's seen the movie of Le Mans 66, also known as Ford versus Ferrari, well, of course, the scene at the very end there with Ken Miles essentially having the monster drive, only to find out, of course, he didn't win due to what was the technical infringement or the rule infringement, and in the end, the win going to, I believe, Bruce McLaren for the 1966 Le Mans edition, the 24-hour Le Mans, and of course, everyone bypassing Ken Miles there, and congratulations Bruce McLaren, but of course those who are in the know giving that congratulations to Ken Miles, and what's the same there for Matthew Hunter. At the time, I think he finished in 3rd, and nothing can take away the fact he put together a brilliant season opening race at Bathurst. But coming on to our drives out there, DG make his way on around there in the GTRR Corvette. Great to see our Corvette driver back out there once again, and well, as he weaves his way between the corners right now, definitely get his head down, and as he comes on around, well, I do believe is that a new livery on the car. And in fact, that is a new car as well there. And the reason why I didn't think it was a new car at first, and well, you can forgive me for this, the car that DG's previously been running has, of course, been the Ferrari 296. And you look at the Corvette C8R Z06 GT3, and you look at the Ferrari 296 GT3, they've got very similar profiles, and the idea being both mid-engine rear-wheel drive and both very similar in their aerodynamic model, not just on iRacing but in real life as well. But of course it's the difference in the engine, 5.5 litre V8 in the back of that Corvette versus with the 6-cylinder turbo supplemented Ferrari engine. As DG taking that car change, so minus 30 points, but a new livery, a new car, and well, he's definitely going to be looking forward to pushing forward. And we know this Corvette is a bit of a tricky car to nail because of how much torque it has through the rear wheels, but it is one of those cars, when you speak to likes of say Richard Simnall for DCW Racing, a regular competitor of course in the GT3 Championships here at SimRacing International, including the UKSimRacing Sunday GT3 Championship, you know that you can use a higher gear tip with the corner exit because you've got so much rear wheel torque, and therefore that actually helps with fuel consumption and it helps with tyre life. But as Dean Collins makes his way on down, all the drives getting set, the clouds are gradually coming over the circuit as I look out my Conte booth window, and that's definitely a sign that that rain is making its way here. But will it come a little bit earlier or a little bit later? Because one other thing to note about forecasted weather versus timeline weather. Forecasted weather, the iRacing simulator will decide when rain's going to come, but it could change at any moment. The wind direction could change, and sunny, what was rain that was expected in 10 minutes time, maybe rain that is now expected in 20 minutes time or not expected at all, as that's unexpected there for Luke Sherlock. On a huge mountain coming out turn 7, goes the barrier, and the priority driver now waited to rejoin. But that's not an uncommon mistake, particularly on cold tyres with that rear left going wide on the exit curb and try to get the throttle down. But beside my point, as we see Jeffrey Damon make his way around, the Wild Ride Motorsport driver, is that when we have timeline weather, we essentially as organisers state when we want certain weather to occur, but then the iRacing simulator may have a little bit of variability. It's normally plus or minus 10 minutes either way around the time point, where we say, okay, we're now going from sunshine to cloud, or we're going from cloud to wet weather, etc. So that's one thing to keep in mind. That will be on the minds of our drivers. They will have spotters, they will have weather radars available to them, and they'll be keeping an eye on that, because light rain will come, and that'll make the circuit wet enough most likely to transition to the wet tyre. But will it come too soon, too late, or just at the right time for drivers when they need to manage those fuel tanks? But for all that and more, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to find out. But it's time to make our way to the grid for its 90 minutes of racing in round number 4 of Championship here at Road America. And so, as all our drivers make the way onto the grid, this is how they'll line up for round number 4 of the UK SimRacing Sunday GT3 Championship Season 19, brought to you on iRacing and hosted by SimRacing International. Philipp Hammer takes pole position for pole promotion with ASR by only 4 thousandths in the end, head of Mikey Sturt for Axis Sport with Sim Coach. Those two very close together, no doubt about it. Mikey Sturt putting his best qualifying points of the season so far, but it does seem as though it's Hammer time at the moment at the front of the field, because the German driver is looking unstoppable. Ashley Brooks starts in 3rd there for Interpole position. The Axis SimSport SimWorks driver absolutely delivering, and well, in the end, 2 drivers in the Pro class being able to find their way between Brooks and Cy Anti, the 2nd place starter in the class 6th, because the Team UK SimRacing Stewart driver will firstly have Tim Pruitt for Send It Racing, and then he'll have Casper Rutner for Old Dudes and Cars Amnesia. But look at the gap there between the Dane and the Welshman, only 12 thousandths of a second. Miller Boyd has taken 7th on the grid for Send It Racing Balls, with Troy Anderson keeping him company on that full throw of the grid for Wild Ride Motorsports. Then we do have Hayden Young for Send It Racing ahead of Wild Ride Motorsports Timo Gertner. Outside the top 10 in 11th place, it's Jeffrey Damon, Wild Red Motorsport did a fantastic job there. One of his stronger qualified points of the season, the Dutchman, in terms of the relative to the pole time. And then we do have Daniel Kovac of DRX Esport hoping to make amends for the disappointment of VIR. The Hungarian driver started in 12th. Pete Cox starts 13th for a Verso Fast, third of your Inter drivers on this grid, with Jack Wyborn on his debut for this season, started 4th for the class and just missed out on that third place, but the best part of 17,000. From the MRC Endurance Team driver, it'll be Michael Schütze-Kerouac for pole promotion with ASR, and Adam Lynch for Eurotitans Endurance. And for Adam, well, this has been another mixed day of qualifying, no doubt about it, but he's got to take a bit of pride in the fact he was only a 10th of the third place in Inter. He'll then be followed up, only the best part there, of what was 18,000 behind him by Revolution 3 Racing's Wesley Van Rens, with the Dutchman being in the company of the Swede, Robin Powney, who starts 18th. The worst racing team ever drive will be followed up by Darren Sharples for Old Dudes in Cars Midlife Crisis, and his teammate of Matthew Bacon for our WRTE. Then we do have, starting in at 21st, it'll be Robin Aston for 5M Racing, head of Luke Sherlock, the Privateer. And then we have Dean Collins, the worst racing team ever, in 23rd, ahead of your pole sister club. A very impressive lap there from Stephen Parker Hamilton for MRC Endurance Team. The best part there, 1.5 tenths faster than James Connolly for Team UKSimRacing Hill. But between Connolly and Parker Hamilton, it's Alan Lever for Team UKSimRacing Button. So for the two team at UKSimRacing drivers on row 13, it's then Hexagon Slows. Harry Tuominen, we welcome him happily back to the grid, and we look forward to seeing what the flying thing can do. He'll be joined on row 14 by Max Wheeler for a Verso Fast, who after his achievements last time out, well, he hasn't quite achieved what he wanted to qualify. In fact, he started from the pit lane as Max Wheeler, so something wrong with the Audi, and he's going to be going from the back of the field, then not the way he's wanted to go whatsoever. Jack Barker starts 29th for Made for Racing, ahead of Jim Fox, who completes your top 30, and behind the Privateer, 31st, Tom Wheeler for a Verso Rapid, and Matthew Hunter for Simcast Racing Team. That's going to be your top 16 rows. Row 17, Jordan Maymar for Simcast for Altitude 3M Esports, and Ryan Clark for Spectra Racing Simworks UK. On row 18, we have Tobias Huckanson, the second member of the Hexagon Slow family, ahead of Graham Vivas for Phoenix Racing. Graham not having a happy qualifying session, but he's normally a bit quicker and bolder in the races. Daniel Pace, Old Dudes and Cars Amnesia, he is here today. We will wonder if he was here earlier on, but the man who's taken 2 wins so far in club starts 37th, his weakest qualifying performance of the season so far, and well, towards the back end of the top 15 of club, where does he go from there? Gianluca Rospo joins him on row 19 for Deep Motorsport, and behind the Italian, it'll be the Britons of Ben Knowles for 5M Racing as DEG for GTRR. Then we do have 41st of this grid. And he last of those who put qualifying lap together. David Pilcher for Simcast Racing Team, and Ashley Coupland not getting a lap together in qualifying the Darkwing Racing drive. I do not think he's going to be racing this one. I think there's a technical issue with his Lamborghini Huracan Evo, and the 146 drive may be relegated to watching from the stands. Well, one of the unique things about this circuit, of course, is the fact there are no limits on where spectators can go. If you can find a patch of grass that's behind the marshalling barriers, you can spectate from there. That's another unique feature of this circuit. Indeed, it has no spectator limit, unlike most circuits. If you can turn up, you can pay for a ticket, you can watch the racing here. But right now, well, this is definitely going to be a race to watch today, because we have our pulses there making his way along of Philipp Hammer. He's in the company of Mikey Stewart alongside. Mikey Stewart having that best qualified points of the season. But can he convert it into an attack for the win? Nine, of course, the man who's come from Inter to Pro after missing out versus Hayden Young in the late stage of season 18. Well, of course, both drivers are wondering where exactly they would sit in proceedings, but today, Mikey Stewart definitely putting on an elite performance, let alone a Pro one. But Philipp Hammer right now is definitely going to want to try and cool him down behind. But as all the field makes his way into Canada Ben, the corner named after Canadian spectators, I do believe. There's quite a story to that one, but we haven't got time for it right now. But we'll see Robin Powney and Wesley Van Rens side by side there together, and well, they're definitely enjoying the company of each other. But we're almost free to go racing here as the engines right now just rumbling along. A bit further back there to Tom Wheeler, much like Max Wheeler, both of the Wheeler family members there not having the qualified performance they wanted. So there's a lot of work to do. No Harvey Wheeler here as well today, so that's a bit of a surprise to the system. But we've got 2 members of the Wheeler family together. Well, right now, ladies and gents, for the field makes his way to the start-finish straight, because it's time for Philipp Hammer to take us to the green for 90 minutes of racing in round number 4 of the championship. And it's lights and away we go. 90 minutes of racing gets underway, and Philipp Hammer leads the way down towards turn number 1. Mikey Stewart stays with him. Ashley Brooks and Tim Browett cut across, but look at Casper Otto going to the inside immediately, trying to attack there to make sure sight ends. He doesn't get on through. Bit of a bold move there. 3 wide between our Ferraris. Oh, that's Hayden Young being turned, getting pranged on the side there of a car. But that's not Hayden Young being turned. My apologies. That's one of the other drivers being turned. But either way, they've all survived it just about. And I believe that is going to be Miller Boyd losing out there. But Hayden Young picks up damage as well. So Send It Racing drivers, it's Send It Racing Civil War. war, let alone civil balls, as they make their way down towards turn number 5. Oh, what's going on for Jack Barker in the rear of the picture there? He's been escorted loose. Going out turn number 3, I think he's had a brief biff on the backside, but as they make their way down towards turn number 5 right now, the whole field going into that braking zone already, but a lot of drivers there just going line astern. Pete Cox, meanwhile, doesn't know the words line astern, as he looks up the inside there of what will be Michael Shinsuke, about to try and take that 13th place. These two fighting hard side by side as they come into that braking zone. Meanwhile, just in front, Daniel Kovac looking for the move there on Miller Boyd, and the DRX Esports driver will trying to pick up the place he's already lost, but looking around the outside. Can he get that done? The answer is no. Further back, Matthew Bacon battling here with Robin Aston as well. Bacon sweeps down the outside, forces Aston to take too much curb, and that's going to keep him nice and safe there for 21st place right now, and keep him ahead of his fellow into driver. Onto the brakes they go, and there we can see Jim Fox looking around the outside, the WMG driver for Roadkill, the Pro 2 outfit right now side by side and Lever as they come in towards what with the carousel. Lever on the outside there, cold tyres though for the UKSimRacing Button driver. That's risky this early on in the race, and keep in mind the Fox has had a brilliant start in the club class, moving up to second place in class. So where exactly is our pole sitter gone? And Parker Hamilton, we'll have to get a replay of that when we can, because he's dropped a long way down. Oh, what's going on there? Oh, car across the middle of the road, and that is going to be, I believe, the car of Pete Cox. Hayden Young's been caught up in that as well, I believe, and Pete Cox has found the barrier as quick as that. Well, unfortunately, he's made a bit of a dog's dinner of that one as he makes his way on out. And meanwhile, we look to Casper Brotner as he makes his way up towards tunnel 14. And Troy Anderson are watching on behind. The old Diesel Cars amnesia driver Casper Brotner right now, keeping his head down here, chasing Sight Anti. It's been a dramatic opening up here at Road America, and we've got plenty more to come as Philipp Hammer makes his way onto lap number 2. So Hammer leads only by 2 tenths as Mikey Stewart is glued to the back of him. And we do have a sizable 1.5 second gap there to Tim Probert ahead of Ashley Brooks. But here comes Brooks looking to the inside. You're into pole sitter right now, wanting to take that third place back as they make their way side by side through the opening bend. We're coming down here, and Tim Probert right now has got other ideas. He wants to try and take this position for himself. Scoots in front there and says to Brooks, no, you can wait, thank you very much. As Sight Anthony does clear Casper Brotner through turns 1 through to 3. And you see Troy Anderson queuing up there as well. But a bit further back, Robin Powndier will side by side here with Luke Sherlock. Sherlock making amends for the difficulties in the warm-up session. And Powndier right now still side by side when these two battling for what is none other than 6th place in the interclass right now. And well, we can also see Darren Sharples and Matt Bacon queued up behind there. But who's going to be at the smarter of the two here? Well, it is going to be, I think, Luke Sherlock who decides there's no need to fight. But meanwhile, Darren Sharples is where it says, if you're not going to fight, I will, as he goes all in for it. Meanwhile, James Connolly dives at the inside there of Robin Aston. And your club leader right now trying to put some daylight between himself and Jim Fox. And meanwhile, Matt Hunter as well. He's had a brilliant start, 8 places gained overall. And the SimCast Racing Team driver right now scooting his way through turn number 6 into 7 and looking very good. As Harry Tuaminen follows him, so Tuaminen hasn't really lost out too much since the start, lost 1 place, a hexagon slow driver. I think right now taking a more strategic approach here, and that has been his Achilles heel so far this season, is strategy rather than pace, so therefore he needs to really play this race out smart. And as we said earlier on, depending on when the rain does arrive, this could be a race whereby some drivers, they may get caught out by the fuel gauge trap, whereby essentially they'll come in to take some fuel and have to go back onto slick tyres, only then to have to go to wet tyres approximately 5 to 10 minutes later. So therefore you really do want to save and siphon the fuel. But Stephen Parker Hamilton, he's still in this race right now. We see the MLC Endurance Team driver attacking the rear of David Pilcher. He's all over the back there, but right now the 399 driver makes his way onwards towards Robbie Canada corner. 2 wide they go. Remember, he was your club pole sitter, so in theory you would expect him to carve his way back through the field depending on the damage of the state of the car and the driver. And on the inside he goes versus Pilcher. He'll take that place there, and once 1 place down, getting closer and closer to the top 10 of the club class. That moves him up into 12th. But as he heads up the rise, meanwhile looking further back, Dean Collins there, the worst racing team ever driver. Well, it's not been the best day so far for him, but I don't know if it's the worst day ever for him, as he looks to attack Jack Barker, who's definitely having a rough round. And that car, that Aston Martin's looking very twitchy there through turn 14. That's not common there for Jack Barker. I think he may be on course of divorce with that car, like he's had the divorce with the Acura and the Lamborghini. But hopefully not. We hope to see they can reconcile as they make their way on to lap number 3. But as they do, well, meanwhile, your leader, Philipp Hammer, right now trying to open up a bit of gap there to Mikey Stewart. But look how these two are bolting away versus the rest of the field right now. They are flying. And well, they're up in the pace as much as humanly possible. The game plan here from Philipp Hammer is to essentially say to Mikey Stewart, how quick do you think you can go? Can you stay with me or catch me if you can? But as they head up the hill towards turn number 6 right now, this is only going to leave the rest of the field asking where they finding the pace from. But meanwhile, Robin Aston's going to try and find a place here versus James Connolly, trying to steal back an overall position for 20th. Does he get it done? The answer is yes. Connolly goes deep. And here comes Jim Fox. Fox on the inside here. This is the club lead as they come in towards the braking zone of the Corvette Bridge. Fox goes for it. Remember, the outside line's the better line there through turn 6. And Fox finds out the hard way as he tucks back in. But as he makes his way to the corner, well, right now he's got the close pressure behind of Alan Lever, but he wants Lever to stay behind him because Matt Hunter is there. And well, Hunter, the third place man in club class right now, is somebody that Fox doesn't want to have to deal with at this point in time. He'd rather Hunter had to keep Harry Tuaminen behind. But goodness me, what a back and forth we've got going on here as we ride on board with Jim Fox's 380 Porsche. And the English driver right now definitely looking the more aggressive compared to Conley. I think he feels though perhaps that if he can take the lead early, he may be able to run away with it. But again, how long do you keep pushing before you start to think more about strategy? Now, the other way you could cut this race essentially is the fact that if you know the range is going to be around 45 to 50 minutes in and your fuel tank is going to last you about 42 to 45 minutes, you could come in and put on a set of wet tyres and you'd have to drive them on a dry circuit. The only problem then would be is how long are you going to be on them before you cook the tyres versus how much life are they going to have left in them. Well, speaking of some life in the battle, oh no, that's gone wrong there, and that's going to be Matthew Hunter being caught up with Alan Lever and Harry Tuaminen, and well, Hunter's backed off, Tuaminen swings to the right, and well, as the camera focuses on him, can we get a better view? I don't think we can, but there's been a big incident between them. Thankfully they cleared the road. But there, a lot of drivers will pick up the places that have been opened up, given the space. But what an instant that has been. And we'll have to try and get a replay of what exactly has happened there between them all, because that was definitely a disaster for so many drivers. As meanwhile, Michael Schütze back, finding that Luke Sherlock and Robin Powney are squared off against each other again as they rake their way down towards turn 3. So right now, the bad is 15th. It's exactly where he started. The pro driver right now, no pro company around him. He's fact full of inters around him. He wants to try and get away from Sherlock, who has found his way past Powney through turns 1 into 3. So Luke Sherlock has finally put that battle to rest, at least for a brief moment, as we show you the class standings. And as they make the way on down, Robin Powney staying nice and close there to the back of Luke Sherlock as they draw the way in towards that braking zone. But the worst racing team ever drive would ideally like to make a move if he can. Is it going to work out here? The answer is going to be no for now. He is going to wait behind just that little bit longer as he makes his way up the hill and into that braking zone. But understandably, Powney here right now find that he is equal in the form of what is Sherlock. It is indeed is a absolutely brilliant battle back and forth between the two drivers, and that's what we love to see as they roll on through. But what is going to be the story next between them, we'll have to find out. We'll look a bit further back to Ben Knowles, currently 9th place runner in club class. He's got Gianluca Rospo right in front, Stephen Parker Hamilton right behind, and Parker Hamilton looking for a move there on Knowles, but Knowles simply says to him, you can try and beat me on the brakes, but I've got the better brakes to the Porsche, and you've got a McLaren that definitely right now is looking at past its prime. Going through the carousel, these drivers still together here, as behind there's Dean Collins, there's Max Wheeler and Harry Tuaminen. And Max Wheeler in a new livery here today, and the Averso Fast driver. Now, whether that's by design, that livery, I'll tell you one thing, that is definitely a beautiful design on the car. I think that is by design because of the fact we do have the Averso Fast logo and the Free Wheeler Racing logo all over it. So decided to shed the blue livery, instead go for something a bit more colourful perhaps. But the blue livery was bad, to be fair. But indeed, I am getting vibes here from Sansalot Racing's stint with the Audi over the last couple of years in GT4 Challenge Europe. But as we do see Max Wheeler make his way up the round, meanwhile, these drivers now really settling into this race. So new fastest lap of the race from Ashley Brooks, the third place man. That's why Inter's at the top of your screen at the moment in those time towers. But the reality is we show you the overall standings. It's still Hammer and Stewart who lead the way, and right now Ashley Brooks is trying to get a bit of a hurry on. But Luke Sherlock having to make his way past Michael Schütze-Kehrlbach. So suddenly Luke Sherlock getting past Robin Powney. And that's why Powney was so eager to keep Sherlock line, because I think Luke Sherlock right now, he's got a lot more pace out there that he's been allowed to show. And now can he catch up to Wesley Van Rens, who is 2.6 seconds up the road from him. He's going to go quite quickly. He's going to have no draft to work with here. This is going to be of his own volition. He's going to have to burn some fuel and also cook the tyres a little bit if he wants to get this going. But will he leave his tyres in a medium state, or will he cause them to be well done? Well, it's going to be a run into the braking zone here, and everybody decides to play ball, but not so there. For what will be Robert Aston looking for the move on Matt Bacon, goes up the inside. This is going to be for interposition, and that is going to be a change there for 7th place in the class, as Robert Aston will get to the inside in towards turn 6, and gets the move done just like that. To come through. Well, meanwhile, Jim Fox and James Conley queue up behind the two club leaders, and well, Fox right now is ahead, making that move happen, but he will want to try and make a breakaway if he can. We've got some replays to bring you, ladies and gentlemen, some big moments so far in this race, as we do take a look back all the way to the race start. And we do come back to the races that did get underway. Well, indeed, it was a smooth start for Philipp Hammer when he did go green, and he roared his way away down towards turn 1. field followed on through. But of course, there's a bit of drama for a couple of drives further back, but not in the initial green flag status as they made the way in towards that opening corner. A bit of swap from side to side there from one of our McLaren drivers who looked to move. And well, just behind, we did see, of course, what was a bit of a, in fact, just in front, there was that instant, and that was the contact between the SimRacing cars. And also we did see what was there, Jack Wyborn getting caught in the mix, but just about surviving that, but that could have been a very scary moment. And meanwhile, things went a bit wrong for Dean Collins at the start. This is what happened to him as he made his way down towards turn number 1. As he did so, onto the brakes he went for worst racing team ever. Well, for, no, indeed it was for worst racing team ever there, and took too much grass, and the car got pulled to the inside, and to the barrier it went. An unfortunate demise for him. But then we did have this for Jack Barker. Only 2 corners later, run down the hill in towards turn number 3. Made his way into the corner. Did have Tom Wheeler directly behind, but I don't think that was the cause of the incident. And the rear of the car just letting go on in there. Tight exit line. And I think he did try to get the power down in a low gear with a lot of steering lock on, and cold tyres said, no, you don't. So Jack Barker went round just like that. Unfortunate for him. But then perhaps some big drama on the open lap. Stephen Parker Hamilton, the man who started on club pole, what happened here to him? The MRC Endurance team, and in the end, went a bit wide and got caught over the front there, Jim Fox's car, as Stephen Parker Hamilton being turned around as a result. This is what it looked like on board from Fox's perspective. Made his way into the braking zone here and around the outside. So all the space in real estate, thought, right, I'll use that, and then Fox came across, and then it was none other than Parker Hamilton who came across, and Fox unfortunately had nowhere to go, and in the end getting caught there with Parker Hamilton's car, and will had to carry on at that point. That's going to be an interesting one for the stewards to dissect, because who really is at fault at that point? But then we did have this for Peter Cox. I do believe there was a bit of a moment for Michael Schuster back as well, just in front. So as they made the way in, well, no, it was Cox first, who made his way, lost the rear of the car. Schuster had to then take evasive action, and oh, goodness me! And then Cox came back onto the road, and there was contact with another car. This is what it looked like from the exterior cameras, and well, we focused out on Peter Cox. This camera picking up his car all the way through, lost the rear through the kink, and at that point, Schuster went doing very well to take evasive action. Unfortunately, that was the SimRacing car of Hayden Young praying in Peter Cox. And well, thankfully, only the 2 cars caught up there. That could have been a nightmare for everybody involved, if not. We have this was DG as well at the end of the open lap. And this was the GTRR driver, Jack Barker, just behind. Made his way into Canada Bend. And as he did so, locked up there on the front right. And well, the car just sliding loose there. And even with the ABS to lock up, well, definitely pushing the brakes a bit hard there perhaps. But we also did have some difficulty with some other drivers, but we also got to see some moves being made, including this on lap 4 for Jim Fox versus James Conley. This was for the lead of the club class, and this was the run down towards turn number 12 at Canada Bend. Onto the brakes he went, Fox up the inside, and we'll get that move done, albeit Conley having to go to the gravel a little bit. Slight elbows out there. I think it can be forgiven between the 2 drivers. But with that happening, the lap before, of course, we did have this bit of drama, and this was, I believe, the incident of Harry Termina being turned sideways. But can we see before that, perhaps? I think we can. Can we get the early moment? This was into turn 13, and this was Alan Lever 3 wide there with Matt Hunter in the middle. Termina in the end, that was never going to work between them all. Hunter did his best to try and break in the end to stop getting caught up in it, but Alan Lever being turned sideways. Well done to the Spectre Racing car there of taking evasive action, literally at the last possible one. That was John Maymar, I believe, and everyone did very well to dodge that as best they possibly could. What a nightmare moment that was, and I think we did get to see what was a bit of a drama there from all of them, but thankfully all the cars back together now as we do return, ladies and gentlemen, to your live racing. And as we do come back, well, you may have noticed there, with regards to the replays we've just done, we haven't actually moved forward in time. We actually paused all your live races there. We've got an upgraded bit of replay functionality for these broadcasts going forward. It is currently in a bit of a beta test stage, so if you do spot anything that's a little bit untoward, well, you'll have to point that out, because we are currently testing some new functionality. So the fact we haven't actually lost any time for the race, as we do see so Anthony there, happening with Tim Probert, makes the moves. That means we get to catch even more of the racing action for you. We do see Tim Probert make his way on. So only 10 minutes in, still plenty more racing to come here at Road America, no doubt about it. We've caught up with all the big moments from the start of the race, and now even more moments to come as we see Tim Probert getting closer and closer to the site. And see, this may be a bit of a to-me-to-you job here between these two, as Ashley Brooksdale sets a new fastest lap race, a 2:02.482. He's looking absolutely rapid there. Brooks, oh, goodness me! And Pro and Science coming together there. And well, Science being turned to the barrier. Now, that's going to send him all the way down the field. I don't believe Science's luck here. He's having no luck in the United States of America. And for this season, at least, it looks though the USA does not want things to go his way at all. And, well, I think there was a bit of an innocent contact between the two drivers. But understandably, that has seen things go very, very wrong. And Science will drop down the order like a stone with that. And, well, that has... so very wrong, with Tim Probert as well getting caught up in that, but hasn't dropped anywhere near as far down, but he will have Jeffrey Damon on his inside, and Daniel Kovac looking for the move as well, but the Syndic racing driver here definitely find out the hard way how things have gone very, very wrong as they make their way onwards. And as they do, we'll throw it right now for Syndic Racing, definitely trying to send it here back on the attack as he rolls his way through the corners, and will defend it well there versus Daniel Kovac, and just works out a trick there for him as he comes down. As he does so, in towards turn number 8, the 1-1-2 driver trying to make amends there. We will get a replay of what's happened there very shortly to try and explain what's happened. Definitely a bit of drama. As meanwhile, Harry Tuamina and David Pilcher side by side. And well, Tuamina trying to make this move. Pilcher in the air trying to come across, but the SimRacing Racing driver's not going to give up. Big oversteer mode car round there. Meanwhile, that is the car. Ben Knowles has gone for a turn at turn number 6. And well, as Tuamina gets through, and David Pilcher oversteers wide and to the grass. And well, the SimRacing Racing driver gets it back together. Stephen Parker Hamilton look up the inside. And Sonny in the club class, it's all drama everywhere you look between them. But thankfully there, Pilcher able to keep that car together. That could have gone to the wall. That could have been race ending for it, but not quite so. What it will do, it will drop it down to the back end of the top 10 in the club class. And Tobias Hansen now will be 3 seconds behind and hoping that he can catch up sooner rather than later. Goodness me, what a close moment there for David Pilcher, but also great respectful racing between all drivers involved. A great awareness and space given between them all. And meanwhile, back to the front we go. On to lap number 7, and Philipp Hammer and Mikey Stewart still together for now. The pole promotion with ASR driver. He's definitely trying to get his head down as best he possibly can. Really working hard here to try and make some magic happen. But understandably, the problem that he's got at the moment is the fact that Stewart is just not letting him go. And that's not a nice place to be in, to be fair, where you've got Mikey Stewart right behind you every step of the way. And once they roll the way down towards that braking zone, he's definitely going to be in a bit of a position right now whereby Mikey Stewart will naturally be giving himself all the advantages he could ask for, because understandably the longer he does sit behind, the more fuel saving potential he has compared to Hammer. So that's where the intrigue will be. What could Hammer do here strategically to give himself an edge, or is this going to be one of those ones where when Mikey Stewart takes the lead on strategy, and it's going to be a duel in the wet all the way to the end? Tim Brewer up the inside there, Jeffrey Damon taking back another place, retaking 9th. That's going to translate into 7th in Pro. Or is he going to get it done? He does in the end, but Jeffrey Damon comes out a little bit right at the end there. I thought they were going to make contact, but not quite sure, not quite so. As now Damon going defensive here down into the 90-degree left-hander. Overcooks it because that is Daniel Kovac looking very close as he gets so close there to the back of the car. And the battle of the two Ferraris for Adam Lynch also looking for a way in. Adam Lynch being your third of your Inter drivers right now. He'd love a role to play in this, but unfortunately he can't get through, and that's going to frustrate him a little bit given the fact that the two Inter drivers he wants to chase after are ahead of this group right now. And so for Lynch, could third place and Inter be the first he goes today, at least in the drive. But when the wet weather comes, it can be the grand equaliser, of course. Will completely change the narrative of the race. That's what the wet does. And all these drivers right now will know they'll be wary of it. They'll have plenty of time to practice for it as well. And I told in advance when we have got the mixed condition rounds, and indeed it gives our drivers every opportunity to be ready for the trials that await them. But Darren Sharp was me all we look further back to, running 18th at the moment. Well, what is none other than 7th place in Interclass. And he's on the back of Robin Power now, with Robin Aston just following behind. And well, just behind them is Jim Fox, your club leader, James Conley at 5. And fighting goes on. Meanwhile, we do come back to Kovac versus Damon, and that's going to be 3 wide there as Adam Lynch looks to go through the middle of the 2. In the end, back it off. But right now, Daniel Kovac definitely making that move on Damon. Now, will we see Lynch potentially go for an opportunistic move here as they come down the hill in towards turn number 3? The answer is no. And Damon, they're going more defensive versus Lynch rather than attacking Kovac. He does not want the Inter driver to get between them there. That will be a bit of frustration that's building for what will be Damon. And the fact that right now he's got to play an offensive defence. Wild Road Motorsport driver is definitely feeling Adam Lynch exerting more and more pressure here. And Kovac goes defence again. Damon looking around the outside. Lynch backs off behind. Jeffrey Damon tries to go all the way around, using all the run-off road. and in the end he'll understeer wide there, and it's going Lynch. Lynch looking up the inside. Damon tries to cover him off, but can't anymore. He can't slam the door shut. Lynch on the inside, but that outside line, they're stronger at turn number 6, and so the Eurotight Endurance try now to back off and tuck back in. But here they go through turn number 7. Brilliant freeway battle between these drivers right now as we've wired on board with Adam Lynch's 267 McLaren 720S Evo. And right now for Jeffrey Damon, what do you do in this situation? Because you want to attack Kovac, no doubt about it. But Adam Lynch right now has been an absolute thorn in his backside going through the carousel, and Damon's going to understeer wide. That's dirty. You can see he put the brakes on there to try and stop the car from understeering, and then realised as soon as he put it on hold up a second, that is going to cause the car to understeer even more, because naturally you're braking. You can only brake in a straight line with a car. You can't brake whilst turning. You can try, but you're not going for any effective braking force whatsoever. And if anything, all you're going to do is overkill the tyres on the outside of the car. So right now for Adam Lynch, as he continues to follow, he's definitely putting that pressure on Damon, and it's going to be a question of when, not if, we reckon that he's going to be looking for another opportunity to pass. Daniel Kovac holds on to that 10th place overall. Sweeping away through turns 13 and 13A. You can see Damon running wide there, and right now really feeling the pressure. I think tyre temperatures on that front are not as comfortable as they once were, and we're on to the start finish straight they go once again, building up that speed, leaving be for a brief moment. As further back, we have got Harry Turmin now trying to pick off his next target, which will be Max Wheeler. The Hexagon slow drive, should get his head down here and look for that move. However, Jack Barker will be the one after that, but then it will be making his way through a trio of interdrives of Wheeler, Barker and Collins, where he does get to Jordan Maymar. Speaking of club drivers, well, here's Gianluca Rosbo for Deep Motorsport, with Jordan Maymar close behind. Here they go on to the start-finish straight, and they're currently battling for 6th place in the club class. And the Italian here feeling the pressure, as here comes the sim class for Altitude 3M BMW of Maymar. On to the brakes they both go. Jordan Maymar up the inside, and that's going to be tic-tac-toe. Just like that, gets the move done, and the 330 driver now comes down towards turn number 3. Its next target will be Daniel Page for 5th place in club. Jordan Maymar definitely not having the best of qualifying performances, but to be fair, making amends in the race as he heads onwards. Now, one other thing we should do at this point, as Matthew Hunter makes his way on downwards, and we take a look at this, is talk about another Jordan out there. But before that, well, this is going to get invented there from Tom Wheeler. He does know this is road racing, not rallycross. Well, he's going to get the move done, or is he? Because Matthew Hunter goes back to the inside, goes to the switch back, and Tom Wheeler, they're touching the grass, has definitely hurt his braking abilities. On to the brakes they both go, and Matthew Hunter in the end does squeeze his way back up the inside. Lovely bit of counter driving there from Matthew Hunter. He hasn't lost a trick, I can tell you that, and this is a 3rd in club. Tom Wheeler right now wants that podium back. Here they come down the hill in towards the left-hander of turn number 8, and Wheeler right now on home soil for the American muscle, and the Averso, a rapid driver in the 3-3-3. Well, what's it going to be right now? Will it be freedom to 3rd place, or will he be constrained to 4th as he comes down and through carousel? And this is where the Aston Martin will be the stronger car, especially with the dirty air applied to the front of the Mustang. It causes a significant amount of front-end aero wash, and that's not going to help the car whatsoever as they come through the kink. Wheeler getting close. Look at the speed what Wheeler's picked up through there. That's commitment as he makes his way to the inside here, going in towards Canada corner, and suddenly it's going to hit them into the braking zone. But on the inside he goes. Hunter doesn't really have an answer to this other than trying to hold it around the outside. He runs a bit too wide. That opens up the door. Here comes Daniel Page as well, and Page, the opportunist, goes to 1. He's going to try and go for 2, but that's not going to work there for the old dudes and cars amnesia driver. And well, in the end, he takes the 4th place in the club class right now. But Daniel Page, they're definitely making the most of Matthew Hunter's small mistake. But what a battle there between Tom Wheeler, Matthew Hunter, and Daniel Page made his way into it. And that's going to bring Gianluca Rosbo and Jordan Maymar into the clutch a bit soon enough. But as they make their way down the start-finish straight to go on to their 10th tour of the circuit, we do look to Robin Aston, meanwhile, with Robin Pownier a bit behind. Then Jim Fox is the battle of the Robins right now, both fighting, of course, in the Interclass. And the 5M racing driver here holding on to a much coveted be none other than 7th place in Inter at the moment, with Pownier also eager to take it. Darren Sharp was only 6 tenths up the road. The man is in 6th in the Interclass, so it will change between them as they head down towards turn number 5. Nobody daring to go for a move at this point in time. Playing a bit of a patience game. Now, I want to talk about another Jordan as well, because I was fed a little bit of information with regards to one of our drivers, and that was, I believe, none other than, I want to say, Jordan Butler. Although, do bear with me, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just double checking in with regards to that. and I do believe they got the right car. And in fact, this was, no, it was Jordan Maymar there. I do apologise, I was with the right driver in the first place. Now, Road America, of course, and this is some information that was fed to me by Stephen Wilkinson, the strategist and team principal on the pit wall, saying the fact that this year they have actually brought the right car to the circuit, because many of you may remember, of course, that a couple of seasons ago, when Jordan Maymar lost out on the title in the class he was battling in, not just because of results, but also because of the fact that the team brought the wrong car to the circuit, and we wasn't allowed to pick up any points from the round. I do believe at the time he was racing in the Mercedes AMG Evo, and in the end, they brought this BMW instead to the circuit, when indeed it was not the Evo model, it was the original base M4 model at the time. And with Jordan Maymar in the correct car here today, as he comes right on through. Well, right now, definitely looking to see what he can do here as he makes his way up through Canada corner right now. But Jordan Maymar in the right car, and everything looking to be quite happy with the car, as that's going to be the battle of the two McLarens there. With Harry Turminen versus Stephen Parker Hamilton. And there's a bit of contact there, and Stephen Parker Hamilton sent sideways to the grass, and into the barrier as well. The MRC Endurance team driver right now, he's definitely had a rough return to the grid here at UKSimRacing. And well, the 399 driver at this point crawling along, and that is going to be damage to the car that I suspect is going to see him and gradually make his way to the pit lane. That's not going to be a happy end to his race, and well, I can feel for him there, no doubt about it. Philipp Hammer, meanwhile, makes his way through, and indeed we've been so engrossed in all the battling further down the order that we've got to come back towards the front of the order, and there is some change afoot here as well, because Philipp Hammer for pole promotion with ASR, still holding the gap to Mikey Stewart at 4 to 5 tenths, but look who now has made a break away from the rest of the field. Ashley Brooks, Access SimWorks, and right now the man who is your interclass leader and third place overall has dropped Casper Rottner to the tune of 3.5 seconds, as that's a big twitch there on the front end of Troy Anderson's car coming out of the left-hander at turn number 8. And the Wide Road Motorsports driver right now trying to make sure that Jack Wyborn and Miller Boyd don't get close. Speaking of Jack Wyborn, well, with sight and having it all go wrong, Wyborn is definitely picking up the pace. And the MRC Endurance team driver making haste, and hey, but Miller Boyd right now has definitely got something to say as well, as these two make the way on down towards Canada corner. And right now is Boyd going to go for the move here, we'll see, as the SimRacing driver looks to the inside, and well, like a bull to a matador, does he go for it? No, the answer is, with the SimRacing Bulls trying to stay his mind on home soil. Who's that? Meanwhile, parked up in the gravel there, and well, I believe, is that Hayden Young who's just gone to the gravel? I think it is. Now, Hayden Young at the time was a lap down. I was going to say there was a Ferrari in between Ashley Brooks and Mikey Stewart. I was wondering it was Hayden Young, but I think Hayden Young in the end going deep into the gravel trap, and his race over very quickly. I think Hayden Young now, we're waiting to get the car to be repaired and back out on the circuit. We will have an extended tow time, giving us one of the furthest points on the circuit from the pit lane. That's gone wrong for Hayden Young. Indeed, it's gone wrong for a few drivers, as we now see our drivers make the way onto lap number 12. And we do go back in time briefly for a quick look at what exactly happened, firstly, between Harry Turminen and Stephen Parker Hamilton. So this was the pair making the way out of Canada corner. They were too wide, and in the end, Turminen on the inside there, and just a small convergence, a bit of netco contact there, in fact, between the two. Now we look at it from that angle, and Parker Hamilton straight into the barrier there. In fact, getting so close to our cameraman, causing the camera to fall out of focus, and it all went a bit wrong. But it also went wrong for Hayden Young, and this was Young making his way down towards Canada corner. He did have Casper Rottner behind him, and the man who had to get his car repaired after the open lap instant went into the corner, and in the end turned in. Casper Rottner didn't know where to go up the inside or not, and Hayden Young went to turn in. Something's broken with the steering rack of that car, and in the end towing to the pit lane to damage the car, and well, sadly going no further, at least this time, as we make our way back to your live racing, ladies and gentlemen. And as we do come on back, we'll still more racing to come, no doubt about it. The drivers roar the way through, and we'll do it to Darren Sharples right now attacking Michael Schutzer back. The old Grizzly Cars midlife crisis driver looking one way then the other, but right now as he comes down to that braking zone, all the way through at the moment it would seem, as he continues to push after Michael Schutzer back as best he can, whilst also trying to stay one step ahead of Robin Aston and Robin Powney. Checking the class standings, the fastest lap is still owned by an Inter driver in the form of Ashley Brooks. That's why you're seeing Inter ahead of Pro, when the reality is the Pros are ahead of the Inter drivers. Well, as we do see here, the battle for 7th place in the interclass, when it's been waylaid by Sharples, who's trying to make sure that he keeps what is the two Robins behind him. Aston and Powney are still there together, and it's following very passively at the moment. I think their game plan essentially is, if they wait long enough, they will have an opportunity there to get involved later on. As meanwhile, Daniel Kovac looking on the outside of Jeffrey Damon in towards turn number 8. And well, 2 wide they go in towards the carousel. And the DRX Esports and the Wild Ride Motorsports driver here. Neither one wants to back off of the 2 frays. Adam Lynch is still watching this with popcorn between his legs. And as they make the way through turn 10, well, right now, the Euro Tyson Endurance driver, he's going to be watching this spectacle with eager eyes as they come through the right-hander of the kink, and well, has to back off there. The double aero wash really affecting the aero model of the McLaren. Indeed, one of the most aero-sensitive cars out than the GT3 class, but makes it so strong through corners. But 2 wide between the 2 in front right now. A bit of contact there. Daniel Kovac defending, and when there's always going to be a bit of a rub between them coming through Canada corner when this is on the line. But in towards the chicane of turns 13 and 13A. Lynch again having to wait as they make the way in towards the final quarter of this lap. But what a fight that's going on here. And I can tell you one thing right now. Kovac and Damon have found their equals in each other, and this is incredible to see as they make the way onto another lap. And this is the fight for 8th place in the Pro class, or what translates into 10th overall. With the third place man of Inter of Lynch just watching it steadily. But look who's coming over the hill. No, it's not a monster, but in fact we can't tell you who it is at the moment because we need to focus on Kovac having to go very defensive there versus Damon. And well, in the end, Jeffrey Damon not able to make that move work. Damon now going defensive versus Adam Lynch. Lynch looking around the outside here. Does he finally get a chance at this? The answer is no there, and Jeffrey Damon literally gets the elbows out to Lynch and says to him, no, go away, Adam. And I don't think Adam understands that right now. No comprende, he may say, because he makes his way down towards turn number 5. Well, right now the 267 driver definitely looking to go all in for as many moves as possibly as he can. But the Briton looking at the inside, then Jeffrey Damon really able to get his elbows out, but he breaks late there, goes on the inside of Daniel Kovac, and he has to back off there. And right now, Adam Lynch really getting to Jeffrey Damon's head. Damon doesn't know whether he's breaking to attack or breaking to defend at this point. And Daniel Kovac just wants to try and get away right now. This is proving to be a very tricky race between the trio, There we go, trio and 3 all together. Indeed, they're making me absolutely speechless at the point, and I've got to try and get my words out there at some point. They're all over the table at the moment in terms of my words, all over the commentator table. And well, what I was going to say is catching back up to this after what was the nightmare that he had at the start, sight Anstey for Team UKSimRacing Stewart. Well, right now, it's not about how you start, it's about how you end, and sight Anstey definitely right now trying to end with a podium here today. Still got a long way to go, understandably. As meanwhile, oh, hold up a second, that's Troy Anderson. What's happened to Troy Anderson? Runs wide there, and Anderson's not had a very good run because he's dropping all the way down there. In fact, Anderson's hit a barrier at some point because that's damaged the front of the car, and suddenly, well, that's going to open up the door here to Adam Lynch to go up the inside, and Lynch going for the move there. That's going to be the 10th place overall. Kovac has been promoted, they've all been promoted, but Adam Lynch promotes himself 2 places there, and Jeffrey Damon being called out. Anderson just coming to the wrong place at the right time, but here goes Jeffrey Damon back up the inside, bouncing over the bump in the middle of the road, and Adam Lynch being escorted a bit wide there. But this battle is really getting grisly between these drivers as they make their way down the start of this straight. We'll get a replay of what's happened to Troy Anderson very shortly. Something's broken on the car, but how he's broken it, we're not quite sure. Sight Anstey now with the side draft there. Jeffrey Damon says, come on, Sire, help me out here. I kind of need you to shake off your classmate. Where they come into the braking zone. Adam Lynch looks down the outside, Scientian on the inside, but this is an outside favourite corner typically. But Scientian says, no, we're going to throw convention to the wind. And down the braking zone he goes. Anti on the inside. And well, that doesn't work out in the end. But right now, Adam Lynch will find the shoes on the other foot. But Luke Sherlock's been also brought into the mix here as they make the way down towards turn number 5. And it is going to the fight there for third place. It's really been up to crescendo in the interclass. And remember, we've yet to see the rain arrive. We're not even halfway through this race. We've got so much more to come. Oh, hold up a second. Who's that going around? There's a smoke cloud. That's Philipp Hammer. Hammer's had a spin coming out of turn number 5. I don't believe it. The multiracial ASR driver, who was your leader, with Mikey Stewart right behind him, well, suddenly things are turning and not for the good in the pro class. Troy Anderson's in the pit lane, and has just left it with a repaired car, using his fast repair up, and Philipp Hammer's had a spin of some description. Now, has he been aided in that adventure or not? I'm not sure. We will get a replay of that shortly. As meanwhile, we've got more action on circuit. Jack Barker versus Max Wheeler, and these two will be fighting over class position in the interclass. That's going to translate into, I believe, what will be 10th place in the interclass at the moment. And with Jack Barker having to hold off Wheeler as best he can with Gianluca Rospo. Well, right now, the club driver just watching this eagerly and thinking, can I get involved at some point? Given he has been dropped to a degree by Maymar, Hunter, Pays, and also some of the other drivers out there. Although intriguingly, James Conley really bolting his way forward through the field. Here's the Team UKSimRacing Hill driver who has lost Jim Fox, but right now is trying to make sure nobody gets close. Also mentioned to Graham Vivas, by the way, we confused him for a Spectral racing car earlier with that instant for what was 3 of our drivers, and Lever, Harry Tuaminen and Matt Hunter coming up through the turn 13 chicane. This was the BMW that somehow made its way through the middle of the chaos that unfolded. The Phoenix Racing driver there. So apologies to Graham because we thought it was John Butler. No, not quite. It is Graham Vivas who survived that, and right now running in a very solid, I do believe that is going to be 9th place there. We've had 8th place in the Int class. Now, if you wonder why I'm having to guess the class positions every so often, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, the information that we have here in the commentary booth is not always accurate at the moment with regards to our class positions. In fact, we don't have any information other than what we can show you on the timing tower. So we're reading off the information as you're seeing it on screen right now. It is a bit of an issue that we've got with our software since the most recent update, which has seen us have much slicker replays, of course. So, of course, a bit of a trade-off, but we will get that fixed in the coming weeks or the coming rounds. So we do apologise there if you were a bit confused. But meanwhile, don't be confused about this. Max Wheeler looking for the move on Jack Barker, trying to take the place back. And here they're going to the braking zone for turn number 1. Lead on the inside there, and I think Barker's going to have to yield this one for now as Barker tries to come back at him, coming off the corner. And the Sir Bottle Job machine made for racing. Given out a very frustrating start to the race, but to be fair, he'll be having fun with this battle as he makes one around versus the 233. But we can see there the Audi starting to pull away, and Max Wheeler, after his maiden win last time out, I think right now, no, it's not going to be a win here today, but he can definitely be the winner of this battle as Barker losing out on the straight there. And I do wonder potentially whether there's a lot more aero on Barker's car compared to the Audi in front, because we typically do not associate the Audi with being a straight line speed machine. But of course, Road America, you typically do run a bit less rear wing on the car, but to those who dare to run more rear wing, they will be quicker through this middle sector and particularly the carousel into the kink. But the downside is they do lose out on the straights versus the faster cars having less stability for the high speed bends. There's always a trade-off to be presented between our drivers. But one thing we are going to present to you as well, ladies and gentlemen, is what exactly happened to Troy Anderson and also Philipp Hammer. And here we go for a trip back in time. And as we do see, Troy Anderson makes his way through the corner. Well, Anderson has already had the incident, and in fact, I think we go back a bit earlier than that, and we are going to get a bit of footage from beforehand. And well, this is what led to the battle that unfolded, and well, Jeffrey Damon in the end having to essentially help his teammate be elbowed out wide there at what was Kink corner in order to be able to try and make sure Adam Lynch didn't get through. But Adam Lynch then went all for it. But as they made the way in through a Canada corner, well, what happened to Troy Anderson in the first place? And the answer to that is that Anderson made his way up in towards turn number 6, went up the inside of Casper Rotner. Oh, there was contact between the two of them. That explains it, and that's why the front bump in the end came ajar and came loose. And well, Casper Rotner had to get the car go back together. They made further contact then. Indeed, the two of them there decided that even after they'd come together once, they'd come together twice. And well, they got themselves settled back down, but that's how Troy Anderson picked up all the damage on the car, and that was whilst they were battling for a spot inside the top 5 of Pro and overall. But meanwhile, after that, of course, this has happened a lap later, and this happened to Philipp Hammer, your race leader. So this was Hammer leading with Mikey Stewart behind, made their way in towards turn number 5, and came through the corner, took a bit of curb, and the rear of the car let go. And for Philipp Hammer, he doesn't normally make mistakes, and well, that is a big one there. And well, Sonny Mikey Stewart takes the lead, and for Philipp Hammer, it's all gone backwards. But as he had to get the car garage back up, we also did have this from Jordan Maymart versus Matthew Hunter, as that was a bit of a near-miss moment there, I believe, between two of our drivers with Hammer. And well, this was Jordan Maymart making his way past his sister team driver from SimRacing UK. And well, no complaint between the two of them there, as that was a change of position in the club class. Although Matthew Hunter had Dean Collins, the inter-driver, decided to try and poke his way past, and Collins was made to wait instead. As we make our way back to your live racing. So as we do come on back, well, all these drivers still pushing on around, and we've still got the best part of an hour left to go. And look at Jack Barker for a brief period, and he has now Jean-Luc Rospo staying with him. And Max Wheeler, of course, still trying to run away a little bit. You can see Barker there closing up through the corners in that middle sector, but then onto the straights. That's where that Audi is going to continue to open up a bit of a gap. Just up the road, Matthew Hunter side by side here with Dean Collins, and Collins gets his elbows out, and I don't think Hunter's going to be too happy about that as they make their way through the Canada corner. Well, both drivers here right now, both wanting that track position, but only one can have it. Is it the inter driver or the club driver? Well, it's going to be the club driver, Hunter there, who holds his ground. And then Collins says, no, that won't do, Matt. I'm going to have to take this off you on the inside. And Hunter in the end does relent a little bit, now going onto the start-finish straight. But of course, there will be quite a bit of slipstream here. Matthew Hunter flashing his headlights, but here comes Max Wheeler, who says, sorry, Matt, I've got places to be. I've got into places today. You're going to need to have to accept this. And right now, I don't think Hunter's going to quite believe this. He's been swarmed by inter drivers who are coming out of left field. We're in the case here of Max Wheeler coming from the right-hand side of the circuit from what is the driver's perspective. Into the base they go. Max Wheeler and it gets his elbows out there. And Hunter right now stepping in the field. So he's been elbowed about by the inter-drivers. Albeit I think that's a bit of an innocent touch there between the two of them. And Jack Barker will be the next driver to try and find his way through as David Pilcher comes into the pit lane looking out of my commentary booth window. And I suspect that may be a strategic stop there. But if so, that is a bit of an early stop. And remember, rain is on the cards at some point. Somewhere around 45 to 50 minutes into this race. And when that rain falls, that is when you want to be going from the slick tyre to the wet tyre. You won't want to be changing too soon. And meanwhile, we see there Jack Barker making the move on Hunter. On the inside he goes. So Barker following at Wheeler and Dean Collins as quickly as he can. And Matt Hunter now finds himself back into the clutches of Gianluca Rospo, as these two resume battling for club position, and this is going to be a battle for 6th place in club, and Rosberg would like it off of Hunter, as Hunter finds himself gradually being relegated down the field. But there is always the big question of strategy here, and are some drivers driving intentionally off pace to save as much fuel as possible to essentially come into the pit lane when the rain really starts to fall, and therefore they switch to the wet tyre at the right time. Pilcher leaves the pit. He has taken what is a fuel stop. Troy Anderson having come in, well, he has come in to take a fast repair plus also fuel. Be interested to see how this race is cut. And remembering, of course, the fact this could be a 2-stop race on fuel for all we know, and therefore the 1-stop, it might be the optimum strategy, it may not. The reason why we think it may be the optimum strategy is because Road America has one of the longest pit lanes in the United States of America, if not in the world, in the fact you spend so long going down pit road on the limiter before you do go to your stop. And Matthew Hunter there almost stops himself in the gravel going through Canada Corner. Here comes Gianluca Rospo around the outside. Does he get it done? Rospo does. Lovely move there from the Deep Motorsport driver. Moving up into 6th place in the club class. Tom Wheeler into the pits as well. So Wheeler's in quite early. And as Wheeler makes his way on down, well, it's the right call strategically. Your guess is as good as mine. As, hold up a second, we're having to introduce for Jeffrey Damon. And that is turn number 3 there. Damon's had it go wrong. I think he's done what Jack Barker did earlier at the start of the race. Albeit Damon's made a bigger ham sandwich out of it. And the Worldwide Motorsport driver right now brings himself back up to speed. And, well, as he makes his way under the cheese board there, that's a ham sandwich with cheese I've ever seen one. And he drops all the way down to 20th place. And, well, unfortunately for the Dutchman, who was, at the time, really enjoying the battling inside the top 10, well, now he's got a lot of places to make up. Well, the good news for him, he's on the back of James Conley, the 2nd place club driver, Matthew Bacon, Robin Powney and Jim Fox all in front as well. So it's not as though he's without company to try and make some strategy work, and also to slipstream his way forward. But this is not where he wants to be in terms of the field he's going to be fighting with. Jeffrey Damon falls down the order. Well, that means Daniel Kovac now has a bit of breathing room here to potentially run away from the pros behind him and chase after Casper Brotner, who is 2.2 seconds in front of him. In fact, 2.3 as they clear the kink. The sun comes back out for a brief moment. We do have cloud and sunshine, but the amount of cloud is continuing to build here in the US state of Wisconsin. So it does seem as though that rain may be a little bit delayed, but it will come at some point, and this may end up becoming a 2-stop racing actually, because the fuel tanks just cannot go the distance. And of course, at the time, if a driver has been fuel saving, they can't suddenly fuel save even more, to the point whereby they can suddenly extend the fuel tank by another 10 minutes when you're already 35 minutes or so into the race. When you commit to a fuel saving strategy, you have to commit to it from the start. You can increase the amount of lift and coast you do, but that's normally only going to be worth a lap at most, given the length of the laps here at Road America, where we are on a 4.04 mile lap, a 2-minute long one in terms of time. And understandably, saving the litres to do an extra is tough in itself. Saving it to do 2, 3 or even 4 extra laps, that is going to be an absolute mammoth task. It's an unenviable one at that, as Daniel Kovac right now has Adam Lynch inching just that little bit closer. But narratively speaking right now, it'll be interesting to see how the strategy plays out, as James Conley into the pits from 2nd in club, makes his way down. Darren Sharp was in as well. So the old duty cars driver, the Team UKSimRacing driver, both coming in. And well, for Conley here, this is going to be surely just a refuel stop here. Won't change the tyres. Remembering, of course, the fact that now, with regards to our pit stop regulations for this season, we have gone to the regulations whereby tyre changes are separate from fuel. So fuel goes in first, then the tyres are changed. You never want to change tyres if it's in those 60-minute races unless you feel as though you're going to get a huge benefit from changing 1 or 2. But at most, you only want to change 1 or 2 because it is 5 seconds per tyre plus 2 seconds to get the car up on the jacks. So you are looking at an average of 21 to 23 seconds for all 4 tyres to be changed, or even just 1 tyre being changed. That's an extra 7 seconds on your pit stop, plus the fuel you take on board. And that's the tough part about it. We've got Matthew Hunter, Jack Barker and Steve G all in as well. So I think this might be a race which is bound to fuel. We could be looking at a two-stop race here unless anybody has found a way to really make the one-stop happen. And if so, well, if a driver's on a one-stop, they could be, of course, to gain a lot of places, albeit all comes down to how much pace they have to sacrifice in order to save the fuel. As Adam Lynch, meanwhile, off camera, has found his way past Daniel Kovac. And Kovac is going to be passed here by Cy Anthony, or is he into Canada corner? And we're in towards the right-hander they go. Science here round the outside, and he wants to chase after Bobby Lynch. And Luke Sherlock now tries to make it 3 out of 3 here, passing the pro driver in the interclass. But right now, Daniel Kovac still fights with Cy Anthony here in towards turn 14. So Kovac is not going to roll over on this one, as Brooks, Wyborn, Boyd, Gartner, and also Probert into pit lane. Brotner's in, so it's Kovac, so it's Anthony, so Sherlock. So they're all coming in, and the only drivers that are staying out, Adam Lynch is also coming on Mikey Stewart and Philipp Hammer. Now, Mikey Stewart, you can understand, given the fact, of course, he was behind Hammer for so long. And so he saved the fuel. So, in fact, we are looking at a two-stop race here. The fuel tanks have just not been able to go long enough here at Road America. And, well, it is because of the fact that we are seeing was a lot of fuel usage on the straights. We're getting the fuel data coming at the moment. So this is now really a two-stop race. But this is going to be put the fuel in the car. And then at some point, our driver's going to come back in when the rain does arrive. We are waiting for that rain to start to make itself known to the world. As Philipp Hammer on a recovery drive here. The best part of 17 seconds behind Mikey Stewart. How much that gap can he strip down over the remaining distance? Can he bring it down? We'll have to see, as also Robin Powney has gone another lap. So has Matt Bacon, so has Michael Schitzer back. So right now it is your top 5 out there who have yet to pit. Meanwhile, everyone else, if they haven't pitted, they will be pitting soon. Spice Hawkinson as well carries on. So he's going to go for a bit of a gamble here as the Hexagon slow driver. Going an extra lap, at least. This could work out for him. But I think this is all predicated on the idea the rain is going to arrive sooner rather than later. But right now, if it is going to come, well, how many drivers who have come into the pits have gone out there on a set of wet tyres, hoping the rain is going to come soon? Now, unfortunately, we cannot get you that tyre data. It's one of the limitations we have with this post-round broadcast. But I wouldn't be surprised if we've got quite a few drivers who've just come into the pits. They put the wets on, and now the team will be doing the rain dance as much as possible in order to be able to get that rain to fall as quickly as they can, because if the rain starts falling within the next 6 minutes, those tyres will be okay. If it doesn't fall for the next 10 minutes, those wet tyres will be decimated by the time the wet weather does arrive. That is going to be the big crossover question now. Are we going to see the rainfall in time to keep any wet runners alive? Now, Mikey Stewart comes in, and there you are looking at the point whereby your leader makes his way down pit road. Has he got the ability now to go to the wet tyre safely with the rain yet to fall? Philipp Hammer comes in as well. And the pole promotion with ASR driver, well, despite the spin, has gone that extra lap and made it work out. Michael Schitzer back as well. That's most likely always part of the plan. There's the rain on the start-finish straight as Robin Powney makes his way to a lap onto Waterby's DG. So therefore, DG goes a lap down, but Powney carries on another lap here. And this is impressive, and Powney, the worst racing team ever driver. Now, as the rain starts to fall, well, I suspect a lot of drivers who did pit the lap earlier have gone to the wet tyre. Powney right now, if he can survive one more lap, he could be on course here for a huge build up and jump through the field, because he will have gone 2 extra laps compared to everybody else, and Matt Bacon's trying to do the same here. His teammate for worst racing team ever. They could really make this work. This could be a 1-2 and into for them if it works out. Jack Wyborn, remembering, of course, he has pitted, but has he gone to the wet tyre? And if so, well, right now those wet tyres that have done a lap before the rain has fallen, how hot are they and how quickly can he cool them down? Because the rain's only just starting to fall at the moment. And to give you an idea, as we see Luke Sherlock there, oh goodness me, Sherlock in a bit of a moment with what was there none other than Robin Aston. Well, Sherlock comes into the pit lane. He's coming in once again, so I think Sherlock going on town pit road here. Is that to go onto what will be a set of wet tyres? So did he go from what was, well, in fact, with everybody coming in, I think everyone did come in and essentially go for what was just fuel and not tyres, because all the pit stop times would be indicative of that. The longest pit stop we've had so far is a 50-second stop for Philipp Hammer, so that is a switch to what would be the wet tyre. So everyone who did come in the lap before, I'm looking for all the pit stop times right now. In fact, we can show you those on screen, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. And right now, anybody who's pitted for in excess of, we want to say, around 42 to 50 seconds, that will be for a full set of tyres going on the car plus fuel. Otherwise, everyone else surely has literally come in and just put fuel in the car. Perhaps there has been the tyres gone on a quick splash and dash, but surely not. I think this is going to be a race now. It's about survival. Sherlock, Clark, Anthony, they are all in. Hawkinson as well. And I think right now, Powney and Bacon, if they can survive to the end of this on Wednesday, so it's gradually getting wetter. And this is what it looks like on board right now. The camera's not always picking up the rainwater, to be fair. And Robin Paunia right now seeing that rain come down. But he's got some tyre temperature. That will be enough here as he's going to surely now deflect his way into the pit lane. He does. And worst racing team ever right now may have just had the best racing strategy ever as he comes onto the anchors with David Pilcher right in front. And Paunia in. Matt Bacon in as well. This is a critical juncture. Meanwhile, Jack Wyborn will make his way through his corners with an 18.77 second stop. This has got to have been only for fuel. He's coming back in here, so this is now to go to tyres. Right now, Paunia and Bacon, they may just steal away the lead here. And if so, well, Paunia's been serviced, so it could be close between Wyborn given the time. But suddenly, we're going to see worst racing team ever leap their way up the field, and it is all through, saving that extra fuel for one more lap compared to everybody else. We thought that we'd seen Mikey Stewart and Philipp Hammer do well to get an extra lap, but suddenly Paunia and Bacon have gone 2 more, and those 2 extra laps have done the job as we're seeing everybody coming to the pits here. Our prediction was right that everyone who had come in had gone to what was the dry tyre and a full tank of fuel, and it has not paid off. But now, as we do see Paunia there in the pit lane, is he going to come out your race leader here potentially? Car up and the jacks right now being serviced, so we're having to wait and see. Jim Fox makes his way on through. And Fox right now is going to lead lap of the race, club and overall, albeit he is on the slick tyre, we believe, here in these lightly wet conditions. He's trying to go 1 extra lap here, but I think this may be too much of a risk. And given the fact he only had a 12.5 second stop as well, he's probably not got the fuel to get to the end. But what's happening in pit road right now? Who is doing what? I think Robin Paunia is leaving the pit, and here is, we believe, your new effective overall and into leader with it. Robin Paunia has just leapt to the front of the field. In fact, so much so, look who's coming by. There's Mikey Stewart, there's Philipp Hammer, and Hammer in the end comes up behind. But he's thinking to himself, hold up a second, what's an Interdrive doing right in front of me? And that's how it's worked out. And Philipp Hammer, hold the phone. He's jumped Mikey Stewart because Stewart's had to make 2 pit stops. So Stewart in the end did not put the tyres on in his pit stop. Hammer did, and Mikey Stewart, it's got to have been an error there from what was Axis Sensible Sim Coach, because he came in front of Hammer. Why didn't they put the wet tyres on? He's lost out on the leader, and suddenly he's literally gifted Hammer the opportunity to retake leader's race. You couldn't make this up. Tom Wheeler's there as well, but Wheeler right now, a 27-second stop. He's only gone to his fuel. He hasn't changed the tyres surely on that car, the Triple 3. It's all pandemonium right now as everyone else is trying to get the wets on. And Jim Fox right now hasn't put the wets on at all. Well, the priority is struggling out there a little bit, but he's doing well to keep it together as club and overall leader. Well, I don't think he's going to survive to the end of the race on a set of slicks unless he's somehow got a magical trick then at Porsche, but he is crawling around right now, and Philipp Hammer is very quickly bringing that gap down. So Fox will be coming in at the end of this lap. Has not worked out the gamble, and Philipp Hammer has already found his way past Robin Paunia. And that's happened off camera. We believe that's happened essentially through what has been turn 5 into 6. And Hammer right now is back into the effective lead of this race. And from a spin to lose the lead, now on course back to the win, just as quick as that. But more fighting going on further back. Max Wheeler battling side by side with Luke Sherlock here. They are fighting overclass position right now. And that's going to translate into fighting for 9th place in the interclass. As Luke Sherlock there finds out what happens when you run a bit wide out of turn 5. Max Wheeler powers his way off the runoff area. And it's too wide once again into turn 6. But this time on the inside, it can actually be the better line because you don't want to run out onto that exit curb anymore when the water starts to build. But Max Wheeler just tempting fate there and making it work out versus Sherlock. And that time, but definitely taking the risk there is Max Wheeler, but he's risking it all for the biscuit, which is at the very top of the tower if he can get as many points as possible and try to hold on to that championship lead. As Daniel Pace and Steve G in as well. Stephen Parker Hamilton into the pit lane. We haven't lost that many drivers in this race. We've lost Ashley Coulton due to a non-start technical issue. Otherwise, I think we have got only Hayden Young and Pete Cox out of this race. Otherwise, we've still got 39 runners out of our expected 42 starters, although we have had a couple of drives towed to the pit lane. Meanwhile, Jim Fox in from the leader club. We took the gamble. It hasn't worked out. That rain is really starting to fall here. As Philipp Hammer makes his way down towards turn number 2. And there we can see that rain coming back into view. The camera's not always picking it up as we say. And Hammer right now makes way through turn 1 down towards 3. But Hammer right now keeping it all together. Jack Wyborn as well. Battling there with Matt Bacon. And well, Wyborn trying to find his way past. This is now a fight for what is 3rd place in the interclass. And hold up a second. Where's Cy Anthony disappeared to? Because Cy Anthony's fallen all the way down the field. I think Anthony may have been a victim of what is essentially going to the pits, putting fuel in, but not putting the right tyres on the car. So those gambles not working out for many, but working out for some as Miller Boyd carries on. But Matt Bacon definitely gaining. Robin Paunia now your class leader in the interclass, and it is a bit of strategic brilliance there from the worst racing team ever. But Miller Boyd watching on as Bacon and Wyborn go side by side here, coming down towards what will be the braking zone. for turn number 5 this time, and well, Wyborn all in to win here. On the inside, going for the move, and can he get it done? No, he can't. In fact, he's on the outside there. 2 similar livery cars, my apologies. And well, Matt Bacon now on the inside. He's going to hold that line for now. Steve G steps aside there, lets him put a lap on. Hib does want to get involved in the battle. Still too wide as they make the way through turn 6 in the 7, but Wyborn getting the better X on the outside of turn 6. Now takes the inside of 7, and the MRC Endurance Team driver will claim that place, at least for now. But with all the battling going on, there could be even more twists in the tail before we are said and done with this race, ladies and gentlemen. Mikey Stewart, meanwhile, looking a brave move around the outside there. The carousel versus Robin Powdier. Powdier does not extend the circumference of his quarter whatsoever. Let Stewart go. Meanwhile, Matt Bacon now finds himself on the attack there, and will goes down the outside of Small Twitch, a small touch between the two of them, and Bacon doing what Mikey Stewart's done, but risking it even more as we make way into the second half of this race right now. The rain literally coming at the halfway point, and Bacon there with a bit of bravery, making his way up into third place in the interclass. But Ashley Brooks now 2.7 seconds up the road. We figured if they keep fighting like this, I surely will be able to break away. Let's wait and see if that's the way it's going to work out for him. As in reality, I think Matt Bacon would love that move. And in fact, Brooks is really struggling here. He's suddenly seen that gap go from 2.7 seconds down to 1.5. I think he ran wide at the kink and just avoided the barrier. But the Axis Simsport SimWorks right now seeing what could have been a golden opportunity for the in-to-win, potentially slip out of his grasp. Now, whilst all that's happening, well, the man who decided to go the longest of everybody on dry tyres, and well, he has come in, he has changed his tyres, it's Jim Fox. And despite it, he's actually just come up behind Harry Tuominen, the club leader. So Fox hasn't really lost out, but he's queuing up Darren Sharples and Robin Aston directly behind him as they come in towards the kink here. Darren Sharples looking up the inside, and well, these drivers crawling their way through the quarter right now as they roll off and head up towards what will be turn number 12. And Fox right now carrying on. We can see Sharples and Aston there together with him, and well, Darren Sharples thinking out the move. Robin Aston being covered off there by Sharples. Sharples right now having to go offensive defensive here, as we can see that water accumulating on the circuit. We're now starting to see small streams of water with some standing water appearing in the run to Canada corner on the inside. So inside line no longer a safe line as Casper Brotner into the pit lane for what will be his second pit stop. And I believe, well, in fact, is that a second pit stop or is that a third? Is that potentially for a drive-through penalty? Your guess is as good as mine at the moment, ladies and gents. We are waiting to find out, but I think Brotner is making his way down pit road for a drive-through, and now we've got instant points picked up there. And if so, well, that's going to turn his race upside down and send it down the running order very quickly. As Tuominen right now, well, what a run this has been for the excellent slow driver. Returns to grid after missing the previous 2 rounds. Now into lead of the club class, nailing it on strategy compared to his rivals. And well, he did go for the tyre change. In fact, Harry Tuominen was the only driver in the club class who came in and put the wet tyres on straight away as part of that pit stop. But we're going to come back to another fault shortly with strategy, ladies and gentlemen. Just wait on this as meanwhile Darren Sharples cuts up the inside there, Jim Fox, and Robin Aston right now sees the space that's been afforded by Sharples being a bit brave, and can he now pass his way through as well? I think the answer is going to be yes, he's going to try it, as the two of them fight over the draft off the back of the car of Darren Sharples. And in the end, I think Jim Fox here, as much as he would like to fight this, I think his thought process has got to be, let it go. It will come back to you as Robin Aston on the outside there brakes, but finds some standing water, and the car gets carried forward. He understeers under braking. He just about stays ahead there, Jim Fox. Brave work there for Robin Aston. And well, that could have gone so wrong, but in the end, it just about went right. But as they come through turn number 6 right now, everyone tiptoeing around. Meanwhile, Adam Lynch let it go wrong at turn number 8. So Lynch has made a mistake, and the Eurotypes Endurance driver slips down the order. And the man who was chasing third place in Inter now ends up finding himself in 5th place in the class. And he's got the company of Max Wheeler right behind him. So Wheeler here looking for a move to try and get into the top 5. And Wheeler getting close there, but having to really bounce the throttle as they make their way out to the turn 10 exit. And now in towards the kink they go. And Max Wheeler at this point, well, how close is he? Can't even see there as we ride on board going through the kink. And well, at least we're sat on the right side of the car. He's sat on the left, so he might have a little bit more visibility. But that spray is absolutely egregious right now. And the Averso fast driver, how on earth he could even carry the speed there into the kink is beyond me. And even see his braking zone as he goes a bit deep there. And we'll both drive struggling as Wheeler goes onto the runoff area curbing. And we can see all the water that has gathered there. It is becoming very slippery. It's like a little valley there, a little river channel going from turn 13 backwards down to Canada Corner right now. That water flying downhill, and that's going to make it so slippery through there to the point right now. Being the first try to come through there as the water accumulates is not good news. As meanwhile, that's going to be Jeffrey Damon coming off the road, and Adam Lynch makes his way past. as they do so. More change of thirds, as I believe Tobias Håkansson's had a bit of a moment. That's coming through turn number 5. He goes to rejoin there, but drivers getting it wrong, and I think a lot of drivers still driving on what is effective dry racing lines here, and discovering you can't take those lines anymore, as Tobias Håkansson gets sent a lap down there. Robin Panic at the inside, and Håkansson goes a bit wide through turn number 6. Coming up behind him, that'll be a driver looking for position shortly. That'll be David Pilcher, who wants to try and take off him. Will be 9th place of the club class right now as these drivers head down the hill, and Håkansson tries to get things back together as best as he possibly can. We've still got 39 minutes of this race to go, and with the rain falling at the moment, remember the rain is set to stop. We're about 10 to 15 minutes of the race remaining, and the circuit won't dry up enough in order to make it a switch back to the slick tyre, as David Pilcher meanwhile slickly makes his way around the outside of Håkansson, who made a bit of an error there coming through turn number 8. But in everything that's going on right now, there's even more change of foot perhaps further up the field, as Daniel Kovac now has Tim Probert attacking him. And well, Probert here looking for a potential move, coming down in towards, I believe that is turn number 8 there. Looking around the outside of Kovac. That's brave from Probert, the send it driver, living up to the team lane, trying to send it as he normally does. On the inside he goes. This will be for 6th place in Pro. Too wide they go through the carousel, but Kovac on the outside line. There's less water out there that's gathered, so therefore actually a better line to be on the outside through the carousel. And Daniel Kovac defending very well there as they go in towards the kink, and now being the lead of the pair of them in towards the fast right-hander. But this is somewhere Probert cannot go for a move just naturally because of the fact he cannot see as well. He tries to carry the speed there, but they've got snakes around, and now down towards Canada Corner, things will settle down once again. Now we have lost in this race more recently, Troy Anderson, but otherwise it's not been too many more retirements at the moment. It does seem to this is a race of survival at this point. They are all adjusting to the conditions as best they possibly can, as Matthew Hunter has just left the pit lane. And I do believe Hunter going back out there now with a fresh set of wet tyres on. And well, Matthew Hunter's race going from good to bad to a bit backwards. He slipped down to 8th place in the club class. But as all the pit stops have definitely cleared now, well, we have the one question with regards to pit stops, which we were going to talk about, which is essentially, have drivers got enough fuel to get to the end after making that initial stop? Now, those who pitted the earliest on lap number 18, they're the ones we worry about, particularly for fuel. However, there is one upshot with the wet weather, which is they will use less fuel per lap, given the fact you're not accelerating as aggressively anymore. As meanwhile, we do see that Tim Probert trying to go round the outside, but into the braking zone he goes! And he goes way too deep there for Send It Racing. And, well, sometimes you send it and you send it too hard. And in the car that's typically run by both Peter Holt and Tim Probert, just Tim Probert for this season. And will the Send It Racing driver now has to get himself back together once again. But good to see he has got his teammate's name on the car there, in tribute to the fact they do normally race endurance together. But as our pro driver gathers himself back up, Daniel Kovac now makes his way out of your screen at the foreground. And well, he has a 3.5 second gap, which he'll be a bit comfortable about. But as we do see Probert get himself back together. Well, meanwhile, back to the front of the field we go, and could this be the day where we do see a 1-2 for pole promotion with ASR, because Michael Schütze-Kerbach is ahead there of Mikey Stewart. Now, that has changed quite recently. We haven't caught that on camera. We will try and get a replay of that very shortly, because that is a change of foot between the two, and in fact, I think we can get the replay. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen, for that move from Michael Schütze-Kerbach to take 2nd place overall and in pro from Mikey Stewart. So this was the pair of them making their way down towards turn number 5, and Schütze-Kerbach on the outside. Oh, goodness speed in the end, snaking very wide. That out could be considered off track. However, did he overtake off track is the question. The answer is technically no there on the exit of the corner, and Mikey Stewart in a bit of an oversteer moment with the wet weather conditions, losing traction, and Schütze-Kerbach converting what was a big error into a big move for 2nd and then running away with it. So nice move there, and a great way to recover it, if you will. So Schütze-Kerbach making his way forward, but as it went well for him, meanwhile we've had a bit of difficulty for Matthew Hunter. Meanwhile, this went wrong for him on lap 22. Nelson's Hunter making his way down towards turn number 5. So the scene of glory for Schütze-Kerbach. Not quite so for Matthew Hunter, who went under braking, went deep into the corner, and the rear of the car completely slid loose there. And I suspect that's where he's hit the standing water under braking, and it's just hurt him. A lap later, we had drama for Adam Lynch, your 3rd place man, in the interclass, having his race go from good to bad to worse. Made his way in towards turn number 8, tight line. And the rear of the car just simply said, no, we're going around, went for the 180-degree pirouette, and then had to try and get it back together. But first he had to pull it to the gravel to get it off the road, and then Art had to slowly rejoin. And then we did have this for Jeffrey Damon only months later. And this was Jeffrey Damon who had made his way past Lynch, Come out of turn 13, went towards turn 14. What went wrong here? Found some water on the outside of the circuit, hit the curb on the outside. Unfortunately, no grip there. Just got pulled to the gravel and drifted his way back through the gravel and onto the circuit. Well done to him not getting it beached there. And Adam Lynch make his way on past. And we had then this for Tobias Håkansson, and the second member of the Hexagon Slow team. Well, as he made his way down the hill in towards turn number 5. Is he going to find that standing water on the outside? The answer is yes. Oh my goodness, and the difference in grip level there from the right to left hand side of the car, so notable. And in went very sideways there into the gravel for none other than your driver Tobias Håkansson, as we come back to your live racing, ladies and gentlemen. But as we do come back, there's still more stories to be told here. We've still got just over half an hour of this race. And we do see it, Michael Schütze leading on. Mikey Stewart, 1.5 seconds behind. Right now cannot close up. So the pole promotion team definitely trying to push this one out to distance. But we'll have to see if that's the way it goes. As meanwhile, Timo Gertner, the well-wired motorsport driver, well, feeling a bit of pressure there from Miller Boyd, and the German driver right now definitely, I think, feeling as though that he is not secure for fourth place in the pro class. He does have the 3 Inters in front of him, Bacon, Brooks and Paunia. But right now he needs to try and hold on to his spot inside the top 5 of pro. If he loses out to Boyd, that'll put him 5th in class, and then you do have Daniel Kovac a bit further back. Before that, we do get to Jack Wyborn, who's trying to recover his way back into this race. The MLC Endurance Team driver, who's definitely had an up, a down. It's all going to be around as well. But right now, definitely trying to keep his head down and not make any further mistakes. But from then, we come to this. Oh, there's Jordan Maymar and Tom Wheeler together. And we catch them just at the right time as they come through turn 8 underwards 9. Through the barbecue billboard they go. But right now, the only thing that's sizzling, I can tell you one thing, it's not the track surface. That's getting cold. But it is Wheeler versus Maymar. As Jack Barker, meanwhile, he's doing a very good job to try and get himself back into this race. He's on the back of this battle with Sight Anstey there with them. And right now, going in towards the kink, that is Wheeler looking to the inside there. And the Averso Rapid driver. My goodness, Tom, don't do that. That scares me. I think he's going to go for the move into the kink versus Maymar. And if so, I was going to say, hold on to everything, ladies and gentlemen, batten down the hatches, because that would have been a scary move. As here comes Jack Barker, making his way around the outside, and Barker finds some tarmac there, looks up the inside of Maymar as well. Barker go for a 2-for-1 special here. Is it going to work into Canada Bend? The answer is yes, no, maybe. Not quite, in fact, it's in the end. He's left in the middle, but he is able to split the 2 club drivers, and Sight Anstey follows him through. And Sight Anstey right now pushing this hard, really pushing the envelope right now. Is your 227 driver who wants to get back into the running here. They're fighting over what will be in the Int class there. None other than 9th place at the moment. The 2 drives back and forth. But here they go, going down the start for this straight. And Sight Anstey with the toe here. And I suspect running a Ferrari that's got a lot of straight lane speed given its gearbox, but also ran a little bit less rear wing. We're going to look to the outside here. Barker going defensive as they have to really deal with a spray. And this is horrendous for them to deal with right now. We have got light rain here, but as they make their way into the braking zone, Anthony then backs off there, lets Barker take that very tight line, a very twitchy line for the bottle job machine that's made for racing. And coming down the hill in towards turn number 3. Well, Barker right now trying to keep Science behind. And there's a very interesting historical parallel here. Many of you may remember it from Portimao many a season ago, back when Barker used to run the Acura, which was the fact that Science went on to take the win. It was a season opener, I want to say in season 16, unless I'm mistaken. Well, the rain came. Barker was the quickest of everybody in his Acura on the wet tyres, but Science survived with only a lap to spare versus Jack Barker. There was one more lap. We would have seen Jack Barker take an infamous win in the class at the time, but it wasn't quite to be. But right now, these two find themselves in the opposite situation, where Science looking the quicker driver versus Barker, different cars as well. And right now, what can Barker do to hold on here? As meanwhile, this is not held on for Matt Bacon, who's dropped all the way down. Miller Boyd as well has been involved in some sort of incident. That's Matt Bacon, I believe, at the kink for recovering the car together. He was at the time running for what would be a 1-2 for worst racing team ever in the Int cars, and that's so unfortunate for Matt Bacon. It's all gone wrong, but what exactly has gone wrong is the question, and the answer is we can get you a quick replay to explain, as I think he's going to be trying to get it to the pit lane. So this was Matt Bacon making his way through the kink, went a little bit wide, and the rear of the car let go there, and at that point skidded sideways, got it under control, then touched the grass. Oh, goodness me! And in the end, that is where, and it was David Pilcher who then collected Miller Boyd, and it's all gone wrong through 3 drivers there. This is what it looked like on board David Pilcher's perspective, as he made his way through the corner. At this point right now, he's too wide. He can't go anywhere. And in the end, where it all went wrong there, he was battling side by side with one of the Royal Road Motorsports cars. And after that contact, Miller Boyd then being clipped there as well. But Miller Boyd had nowhere to go in that situation. That was a nightmare moment for everybody involved. And, well, can we get the on-board from Miller Boyd's perspective? We can. And what you're going to see very shortly, it's going to go wrong for Pilcher. And in the end, just been pranged there. And Miller Boyd couldn't even see him from his on-board at that point. He was just praying that he wasn't going to be collected. Nightmare moment for all three drivers. And, well, we go back to your live racing, ladies and gentlemen. And as we do come back, well, definitely a nightmare for a few. And, well, Matt Bacon still struggling on here, trying to get to that pit lane as quickly as he can. And we'll just see if he can still recover some points out of this race. But things have gone very wrong for Luke Sherlock as well. Hold up. Where's that? That's coming out the carousel. So Sherlock falls down the order, making a mistake. And the privateer there, we can't quite catch all the footage of it, but we do know what's happened, and he falls down. So right now, this is becoming a race that's a bit of survival instincts here. As Barker once again looking for the move on Jordan Maymar this time. Made it once count versus what's Tom Wheeler. Now he's going to do it again as Maymar goes straight on. I don't believe it. The SimCars with Altitude 3M drive right now. Really making haste to the gravel, and no contact there. That's just where he's hit some water on the outside of the circuit, and Barker makes up another place overall. It won't count in class, but he's now on the back of Jim Fox. And right now, it seems though, wherever Jack Barker goes, somebody's fated to find themselves off the road at the moment, because Luke Sherlock was just behind him. Then it was Jordan Maymar. And right now, he needs to find his way past Jim Fox. The man is running second in the club class. And Harry Turmin, the best part of 2 seconds up the road right now, be hoping that he's going to be safe, secure, and away from it all. But as Barker makes his way down, here comes Sight Anti with an absolutely huge amount of speed there in the Ferrari 296, UKSimRacing Stewart. Here they're going to the braking zone. They split the seas. Barker on the inside. He's blindsided by the braking zone. Sight Anti goes off him as well. Oh my gosh, they are all off. And my, you couldn't make it up here. And with Australian supercars have their all into the wall, I had to say they're all into the gravel. Jack Barker gets the worst of it, and here comes Darren Sharples, who in the end goes the outside. They can't find a way through. Sight Anti, like a missile, goes all in. And Matt Bacon somehow gets back into this. He's just had a fast repair in the pit lane. And he comes out in 19th place. But suddenly Matt Bacon, he's literally out of the frying pan and into the proverbial oven as he now has to battle for into position with Sight Anti and Darren Sharples. And Jack Barker just cannot get any luck here as we are Sight Anti going on the attack with Bacon. And as he comes down there, I don't know if I'm talking about a cooking program or alternatively a battle of two drivers here with the amount of references to a frying pan. But meanwhile, that's been overcooked by Darren Sharples under braking. They're all going off again. Luke Sherlock as well. Jordan Maymar as well. And Jack Barker comes back through all of it here. It's like a graveyard of cars that's just moving around the circuit as he makes right the inside there. Darren Sharples goes to the move for position as Jack Barker, but Sharples is back on the inside here. Hope it's not all lots are made for racing. 2-1, they come through the corner, and Barker will just scoop his way around the outside. Takes a lot of curb on the exit. He's got to be so careful. There's going to be so much standing water on those curbs as he comes into the braking zone. And right now Sharples goes deep again. Sharples to the gravel, and Jack Barker will survive that or thereabouts. So Barker now, right, where has he gone to in terms of position at the moment? He has moved back up to, I believe, that is going to be what is 9th place in the Interclass right now. And just up the road, he's going to have Matt Bacon and Sight Anti fight each other. And Sight Anti right now, well, still glued to the back there. The rain is definitely very much falling as I look at my content booth window, ladies and gentlemen. It may not be appearing on the cameras that much, but it is definitely raining here at Road America right now. And that rain is catching up so many drives. The amount of water that's accumulated on the circuit. And, well, oh, and there's contact. Anti into the back of Bacon, and Matt Bacon on the previous lap in that sequence of corners lost his front bumper. Now he's lost his rear bumper there. And, well, with the amount of what is wreckage that car, you could build another McLaren out at this rate, and it's not his fault necessarily there, although that's of course for the stewards to decide. Based that carrying, it looks so Sight Anti just came in a little bit too under the braking and just praying the rear of Matt Bacon's 244 McLaren. But of course there may be a different story there. All that's aboard the stewards will dissect. But as Matt Bacon gets himself back together, it's a trip to the pits once again. Sight Anti into the pit lane as well. Now likely be for repair work to the car, and well, Jack Barker's now going to pick up 2 places. So Sonny Barker up into 7th in the Interclass here, and the made for racing drive right now. I don't think he can believe his luck, but the thing is he can't become complacent. He can't be thinking about that, because this race has given, it has taken. It is right now an absolutely unrelenting race at Road America as Barker there goes a bit deep into turn 1, but I think he's trying to find a better line for the corner. And remember, when the circuit gets this wet, even though we've only had light rain, well, I can tell you one thing, this is a circuit now whereby the racing line is no longer the optimum line. There is an optimum line out there, and you've got to try and thread your way between the puddles, the water, and try to understand where that line is. But in all of this, obviously right now we look back to Philipp Hammer, who leads the way, picking his way past some cars that are going to lap down as he makes his way onto lap number 29 as he crosses that timeline with 27.5 minutes to go. Based on my reckoning here, and given the lap times now descended to just being under 2.5 minutes, I would say that we are going to see in the 20 minutes remaining the best part of another, what will be around about 11 laps. So I think we are going to go to around lap 40 here today, ladies and gentlemen. And well, hold on to your hats because there could be a few more frills, spills and everything in between. Speaking of which, there's a spill on the circuit for you, and that's Daniel Kovac with the iRacing Sport, who's got it wrong that kind of corner. Well, looks things recovers and he loses places there to both Jack Wyborn and Tim Probert. So suddenly the 142 Ferrari falls down after it gains so much ground, and what was looking to be a 5th place in Pro, well, right now gets himself back together. Has that car got damage to it? I don't think so. If it is light cosmetic damage, and he now builds himself back up to speed. What exactly went wrong for him? The answer is, here we go for a trip back in time, ladies and gentlemen, to explain, with Daniel Kovac having it go wrong at Canada Bend. As he made his way through the corner, too wide there with Tim Probert coming out to the bend. A small touch initially, and oh, that's not the best camera angle there. I think I'm going to guess, can we get on board with Tim Probert there? I think we might be able to, and as we do, we might be able to explain it. They came out the corner, let's listen. And I think you could hear there, you heard the slight glide of the tyres there. The rear left of Tim Probert's car lost traction. That caused the car to pull slightly to the right. And unfortunately, Daniel Kovac, who slightly linked to the left there coming out the corner, given the camber of the road, the two have made contact there. That's going to be a tough one for the Shoes. They were constantly banging door to door. But whose fault is that? If anybody's at fault, is that a racing incident there? But very unfortunate for Daniel Kovac to come off the worst of the two as we make our way back to your live racing, ladies and gentlemen. And here we go. And as we do come back, well, ooh, hold up a second, that's Tom Wheeler recovering out to the king. So Wheeler's had it go wrong there, and the man who was your winner last time out of the club class, well, he's down in 3rd in class, but there's Jordan Maymar going to steal that place off him as quickly as you can say bye-bye. And right now, is it bye-bye for an opportunity for a podium here for Tom Wheeler? Because if so, well, the 333 driver right now is going to be absolutely frustrated at this. He's got to try and keep it together. Something's gone wrong at the king, and as he makes his way up the hill, I don't think we get a replay of that right now. We can definitely see the afterone. You see all the damage on the front right of the car there, the front right bumper in particular. And well, I think the front right suspension as well is misaligned. It has been all caved in around the tyre as the bodywork. And is he going to peel to the pits as he exits the final corner? The answer is going to be no. He decides not to. So Wheeler's going to carry on. He's going to try and fight on with the damage here. But Sonny, he was at the time running in 2nd in the club class. He had found his way past Jim Fox. And well, now he falls down to 4th place in the class instead. But nobody seems to be able to touch this man, Harry Tuominen, in the meantime, who is 3 seconds clear at the moment. You can see Fox in the rear of the picture coming over the hill. Jack Barker there with him. And Harry Tuominen right now just keeping his head down here. And is this going to be an infamous win for the 383 Hexagon slow driver in the club class? And what would be 16th overall? We will see. But still more to come. And remember, this man, Alan Levo, was involved in that altercation coming up through the chicane from Canada earlier on in the race. Well, right now, he's made his way all the way back into what I believe there is the top 10 of the interclass. With James Connie following him right now, and Tom Wheeler a little bit further up the road. But just in front there is Darren Sharples. And right now, Alan Levo would like to take the place off him if he can. As they make their way onwards, we look to the class standings. Indeed, Alan Levo running 10th in the class at the moment. About again 25 minutes to go. Rain still falling at the moment. The rain forecast is to stop with around about 15 to 10 minutes to go, and that will cause the circuit to slightly evolve again. Now, we are not expecting that we are going to see a slick time as mentioned earlier on, as Darren Sharples goes very deep there at turn number 5. So that's going to be a place ticked off there for Alan Lever, up into 9th in the interclass, just simply taking the place where Sharples gets it wrong. But what it could mean is that if we do start to see the circuit warm up just that little bit and a slight drying of the circuit, that those puddles may start to just dissipate slightly or become less wide, or narrower is also a word we can also use for that. And well, that may just give a bit of confidence to some drivers, but could we enter the era of overconfidence for some? Under braking on corner entries, Darren Sharples there getting a bit too confident under braking behind Alan Lever and almost praying in the rear of his car. But this right now is definitely a test of who's got the bravest on the brakes and who can find the grip in the corners or find the optimum line. As hold up, we've got Jack Barker going a bit slowly there. Has Barker had a moment with the kink? Well, Tom Wheeler did on the previous lap. Something tells me that Barker's had something go very wrong through there, because suddenly was looking a redemptive drive has now become one where he may be resigned to fate. That's going a bit slow through Canada corner. Is he trying to get the car back together here? He may be doing so. Tom Wheeler catching up to Jordan Maymar meanwhile, and Wheeler in a car that's definitely been a bit bruised makes his way onwards. As he comes in towards the corners right now, the Averso Rapid driver rolling his way through turn number 14. And your 333 driver right now looking to go on the attack here up towards turn 1. well, what's it going to be here? 2.5 attempts become 2 attempts as they cross the timing line. And getting closer and closer here is Wheeler, but where will he go? Will he look to the inside? Will he stay on the outside and force Maymar to have to think about his options? Well, Wheeler's going to be the one who's going to make the opportunity happen. Looking to the inside here into the break-ins over turn 1. On a very narrow line, there will be some water on that curb. And in the end, Wheeler holds his ground, but Maymar just holding the line on the outside. Lovely bit of defensive drive there from Jordan Maymar, knowing where the grip levels are. And Tom Wheeler not able to pull off that move, at least for now, as they glide their way through that right-hander. And Tom Wheeler falls back once again, looking for another opportunity when he can. Meanwhile, further back, Luke Sherlock making his way back to Dean Collins. Collins being passed by Brian Clark as well. I think Collins had a bit of a moment at Canada corner. And Brian Clark right now, we already talked about him today, the Spectre Racing SimWorks UK driver. Well, he's currently running in none other than what would be 7th place in the club class. He's definitely had one of those races whereby he's having to make amends. Well, it was a difficult start to race with his qualifying points being subpar. And currently running that 7th place in club with a bit of a gap to Matthew Hunter. He's got a sizable gap to chase down Gianluca Rospo, still holding the 6th in club by comparison. And can't make his way on to lap 31. Still keeping up a solid run here. Although his pace, to be fair, not quite matching that of the club class drivers in front of him, but definitely surpassed those behind him. So it could be a bit of a lonely no man's land for him. As Jeffrey Damon's had a bit of a moment at Canada corner. He's recovering, bringing some gravel back onto the circuit. As he does so, the Wild Ride Motorsport driver here, definitely here for the ride today. Although, what a crazy race it's been, as Tim Probert into the pit lane. So, as he comes on down, when was the last time he pitted is the question. I believe he's one of the early stoppers, and the Send It Racing driver, is this potentially for repair work to the car? Is this for a splash and dash of fuel to get him to the end? Or is this just a drive-through penalty for instant points? As he heads on down, we will wait and see. As meanwhile, we can't wait to see what happens here, as Jordan Maymar being passed there by Tom Wheeler. Wheeler going around the outside, and well, Wheeler definitely looking the quicker of the two drivers and catch up to Jim Fox. Fox, meanwhile, has not had a good lap at all. In fact, previous lap, Jim Fox had lost 3 seconds to Wheeler and Maymar, and this lap he's losing even more. So that second place of Jim Fox is looking very vulnerable in club as they come up towards what we turn 14. Wheeler using all the road and also the runoff area there. My goodness, Tom Wheeler being very brave, and well, he seems to know no fear, that Ford Mustang driver, as they come out of the final corner, getting ready for lap 31 then, as they power their way on the start-finish straight. And it's crazy to think that Philipp Hammer, your race leader overall, is just making his way out to Canada corner. So right now, how many tries he's going to lap before this race is said and done? Well, we'll have to wait and see. I suspect he could be lapping up to the end of the top 10 at this point. As we do see Fox going defensive, Wheeler getting close, but Wheeler in the end being made to wait there and just takes it nice and early on the brakes. Jim Fox will make the mistake for him, going deep into the corner. Here comes Wheeler then, coming down for the Kinker 2. Wheeler on the inside on the left of your picture, Fox on the right of your picture to the outside. Wheeler's going to go for it here, but is that a bit too adventurous under braking? He does go a bit deep, but gets it stopped there. And Tom Wheeler, my goodness. Well, I would say that's a lot of rear wing on that car. I wonder if they'd set up the Aversa Rapid Ford Mustang for the wet conditions that were going to come midway through the race. And if so, that's why you're seeing Tom Wheeler here being able to just be so bold with those braking lines. If anything, it may be that Jim Fox right now has got a dry weather setup there, where essentially they put less rear wing on the car for Road America naturally, because this is a power circuit. And you can change your rear wing and your anti-roll bar settings at the pit, but it adds an extra 10 seconds onto your pit time, because that work is done after fuel and after tyres. And I wonder if any teams have gambled with making some tweaks to the rear wing settings of the anti-roll bars. But of course, if you change those, you've got to know what you're changing, and very quickly so, because they have a huge impact on the way the car will behave. The rear wing naturally pins the rear of the car down to the road, so naturally what you see happen, the more rear wing you run, the more stable rear end you have, but also it can invoke understeer on corner exit, given the fact you're essentially powering the rear is being so planted. Whereas changing the anti-roll bars, depending on which way you go at the front of the rear, that can really change the characteristics on entry, midway through, and on the exit of the corner as well. As meanwhile, Jordan Maymar trying to go around the outside here of Jim Fox, who is really struggling for grip. And right now, Jordan Maymar will make it look as though it is a walk in the park there to sweep around the outside there. That's not to be unfair to Jim Fox. He's trying to survive, but Jordan Maymar here, much like Tom Wheeler, both of them seems to have cars that are keyed in or dialed in more for these wet conditions, whereas Jim Fox is just trying to hold on. Whereas Jack Barker stays behind in the meantime. The man who right now in the interclass is definitely trying to make a bit more haste out there. Although to be fair, currently sitting 8th in the interclass, and he's got 4 club drivers between him and the man Robin Aston, and 10 seconds as well, so it's not going to be easy. Well, who's that? That's Harry Tuamino who's being caught up there by Tom Wheeler and Jordan Maymar. So certainly the Hexagon slow driver, the pace is falling out of his race as he comes through turn number 14, and Tom Wheeler right now all over the back of him here. Onto the start-finish straight they go. And this is the race. Ever since that contact with the barrier at the kink for Tom Wheeler, it's almost as if it's knocked some speed into his race. And, well, that's not to be unfair to him. Wheeler right now is absolutely bolting here as he makes his way down the start-finish straight, pulls out of the spray. Here he goes into turn number 1. This could be for the lead of the club class. And onto the brakes he goes. It snakes a little bit under braking. Just hitting that small puddle of water. Runs deep, but not too close there to the Swede. And in the end, Harry Tuominen holding on there. The Finnish driver, but with the Swedish flag on the back of the car. And well, as he comes in towards the braking zone here for turn number 3, he goes very deep, way too deep there for Harry Tuominen, realises it. And just in the nick of time, and in the end almost went to the grass, but thankfully kept it on the tarmac. But now it means that Jordan Maymar's going to be looking for a move here, and Harry Tuominen right now, the wheels are falling off the proverbial bus here for what could have been his win. But right now it could be just the podium he's trying to hold on to. If Jim Fox gets involved, could it be off the podium instead? Or Jordan Maymar trying to go around the outside of it. There's so much water in the outside here at turn 5. He's going to brave it on the outside line, and in the end just given enough space there by Tuominen, who could have perhaps squeezed him a little bit wider. But I think Tuominen just trying to find the grip levels of his own right now. Jordan Maymar sweeps on through into second place there in the club class, but is Tuominen going to come back at him? The answer seems to be no, not at this time, as Ryan Clark meanwhile was towed to the pit lane due to an incident. Not quite sure what's happened there. Further back, Gianluca Rospo going on the attack versus Luke Sherlock, heading down towards turn number 1. But I think Sherlock's in fact cleared Rospo quite recently, and Rospo's worry is, or concern is more in making sure he holds on to that 6th place in the club class, for which he does have a grand total of a 35-second gap to Matthew Hunter. So I think he is looking relatively secure right now. But as things continue to turn and change in terms of the story, well, Adam Lynch and Tim Probert has recently swapped positions. That's overall only for 11th overall. Probert moving forward. And we have into the pit lane Daniel Kovac. So he comes on down pit road. And as he does so here, is this for instant points or is this for fuel or something else entirely? I'm not hearing that he's had a brush with a barrier. That car looks okay. But as he heads on down here, well, Derek's eSport driver making his way onwards. We are seeing a few more extra trips to the pit lane for some drivers. Miller Boyd as well with an extended trip to the pit. Well, Harry Tuominen, meanwhile, find himself battling. Oh, hold up, that's Jordan Maymar. Maymar's off in the gravel at Canada Corner. He's lost out there as Maymar, a mistake of some description, and well, for Jordan Maymar right now, things gone from good to bad to backwards, as Daniel Kovac, we can tell you, came in for a drive-through penalty as he made his way down pit road, so therefore that's instant points. Those instant points accumulating. Remember, they only get 16 of them available, the standardised SimRacing International limits for this season, and that's your drive-through penalty at 26, you are disqualified. So right now, this is definitely going to be a bit of a hair-raiser with regards to those instant point limits, and all these drivers will definitely be thinking to themselves right now, they've got to hold on as best they possibly can. As John Maymar brings himself back up to speed, that's back down to 4th place in the club class right now as we look to those class standings in the meantime. Well, Tom Wheeler definitely has bolted away. A 5-second gap to Harry Tuominen. Here you see Tuominen with Fox closing in on him, but Jordan Maymar only 1.9 seconds behind, with Jack Barker being the wolf in sheep's clothing there, surrounded by the club drivers trying to find his way around the outside of Jim Fox. Barker there with a twitchy moment. As, hold up a second, we've got a new leader in the interclass, and that's Rowan Powney behind. Powney's made a mistake at Canada Corner, and Ashley Brooks retakes the lead of the interclass that was his earlier on. Rowan Powney absolutely nailed it on strategy, but a mistake has been made, and make no mistake, Rowan Powney slips back to 2nd in the class right now. And well, can he find his way back onwards before the time is done? The next driver to chase after him will be Jack Wyborn, but that is 27 seconds behind Wyborn. So Rowan Powney right now seems set for 2nd as a minimum in the interclass, but he'll be gutted to have lost the lead if he can't hunt down Ashley Brooks, who is started to bolt away. But we need to understand what exactly has happened there between those drivers, and so we're going to get some quick replays, ladies and gentlemen. First, he starts off with what exactly happened to Jordan Maymar at Canada Corner. And this was Maymar making his way down, chasing after Tom Wheeler at the time. Onto the brakes he went, took some of the water on the outside, and in the end, understeered wider, and went spin on the ground there as he had traction on the right-hand side tyres, but not on the left-hand side tyres, and had to rejoin. And then we did have this only months later for Robin Powney at the same corner. And this was Powney leading comfortably in the interclass by the best part of 4 seconds. There you can see what's actually Brooks in the rear, and under braking there, hitting the standing wall to his left-hand side tyres, and it pulled into the grass and gravel and had to gather the car back together very tentatively. And Powney surviving a spin, but understandably not seeing his lead survive that, and Ashley Brooks taking over as we go back to your live racing. And as we do come back, Robin Parent is still trying to get himself back together now as we head into the final 15 minutes of this race. What a set of towels we've had so far, ladies and gentlemen. We could see even more before this is all over, as now Jack Barker trying to find his way past Harry Tuaminen for 16th place overall. You can see Jim Fox and Jordan Maymar behind. And he made the racing drive, inching closer and closer here as they come in towards the kink. But can he find a way through? It won't give him any extra points, but it will give him an opportunity to potentially chase after Robin Aston as Jim Fox there runs a bit wide. I think just obscured by the spray of Barker's car. And well, as we see none other than Jordan Maymar getting closer as well. Barker right now taking that middle of the road line here, looking quite safe. Fox getting close under braking. Jordan Maymar sliding under braking there, and Maymar gets caught out again. Canada corner right now. Well, definitely it's not a happy day for the SimCast outage for him, trying when Canada's concerned. And will the car going around, but right now Maymar getting himself back together. But how many more times is he going to make this mistake before he ends up potentially with a drive-through penalty for instant points? And lever to the gravel as well, and Darren Sharples will squeak his way on through. And meanwhile, Sight Anti, oh my goodness, the Sight Anti literally coming out to stage right. And I'll tell you one thing, Sight Anti there having the ability just to appear out of nowhere on our screen. And the Team UKSimRacing Stuart driver, well, as he makes his way onwards, he's got damage to the front of the car as well, but made his way past the sister machine of UKSimRacing Button of lever. And will Sight Anti now back up into the top 10 of the class, no doubt about it. And well, and 11 James Connolly there behind. And right now, oh, hold up, James Connolly, that's not how you do turn 14. That's a rallycross line there. And well, I think just being caught out through the chicane of turn 13, and the rear of the car having to be settled down by taking to the grass. He just powered his way over. But right now, as our leaders have just made their way past him, well, James Connolly, the next try to fall a lap down. What a set of stories we're having here so far, ladies and gentlemen. There's even more stories to potentially come, as I'm hearing that Matt Bacon's made an error at Canada Corner. He gets it back together, and that is going to be the Wild Ride Motorsports car there. Timo Gertner making his way around, putting a lap on Bacon. And Bacon having some struggles out there. But as he tries to cook up a better situation, well, there, hold up, that is Jeffrey Damon. Damon's got it wrong coming through the carousel as well. The Wild Ride Motorsports driver dropping down to 10th place. So what does that mean for him in the pro class? It means now he falls behind Tim Probert. So Probert takes the place over, and Damon making the mother of all mistakes there through the carousel. And Daniel Kovac will now have some faith perhaps that he can take this back despite the drive-through penalty. And will this race be settled by mistakes and penalties as much as it will be on-track action? I suspect so now. Those penalties, of course, being automated by the iRacing shooting system. Jack Barker still trying to find his way past Harry Tuaminen and being pinned here. He can't make his way through as we ride on board. And as he makes his way through the corner, you can definitely see the spray accumulating there. But we need an idea. Have we still got any rain falling out there? Or has the rain finally stopped? We are almost at the point where it will have stopped based on the timeline. And Barker completely blind into the king. I don't know how they do it, ladies and gentlemen, coming through that corner when they're completely blind. As Jeffrey Damon is into the pit lane. Now that could be for repair work, to be fair, just as much as a drive-through penalty. If it's a drive-through, he has to go straight through the pit lane. He cannot stop in the pit lane. He has to essentially drive through, come out the other side, and under braking here, Barker makes his way through Canada Bend, making the movement to Amina. Adam Lynch is literally only with 1.3 seconds up the road from him, so Barker right now has a chance to potentially get some more places. I believe Jeffrey Damon is serving a drive-through penalty for instant points. Barker right now gets it closer and closer here. As you can see, there's Fox. Maymar 3.5 seconds behind. Jordan Maymar is really closing up rapidly, but Jack Barker right now staying glued to the back there of the McLaren in front. As you see the rain falling onto the start-finish straights, getting another top up of liquid refreshment there as they make the way on down. As they come down in towards turn number 1. Right now, Barker any closer than this, he's got to make a move. Indeed, he looks to the pit wall, goes to the inside. Tuaminen takes the outside. Barker's going to try it here, but he's got to watch out for that standing wall on the inside. Does so, cuts it very nicely, does Jack Barker. That's a move being made. And now his next target will be Adam Lynch, and that will be for 7th place in the interclass as he just tries to inch closer there to Lynch, making his way up through turn number 3. But the Eurotyson Endurance driver trying to survive there in the ETE machine, as it's abbreviated to. You can see it on the side of the rear wing of the car. But there we do see Harry Tuaminen getting a better run back there versus Barker. In fact, it's going to bring Jim Fox into the fray. Barker's not going to enjoy this whatsoever right now. Just not able to make forward progress. Here they come down. Fox looking around the outside as well. Barker here. And Barker right now is definitely going to let this battle go. Does not want to interfere with the club lead battle, essentially, or the battle at least. Well, in fact, it is the battle for 2nd place. My apologies, because of course we'd have Tom Wheeler up the road, clearing Tuaminen earlier on. But right now, that battle for 2nd place in the club class, well, it could have some more pages in the book. As they come through in towards turn number 7. Well, Fox has now picked up the pace a little bit, seems to have got more confidence in the behaviour of the car and with the conditions he's dealing with. And here they come down towards turn number 8. Onto the brakes they go. And wherever you go at the moment, there's some more rainfall and that light rain. And Fox just taking it very tentatively there on the throttle through the left-hander, and into the carousel he goes right now. And I don't think Fox wants to make any more mistakes. He'd be very happy with a podium, no doubt about it. He would ideally like to have a bit more, but given the way his season has gone so far, well, I think that maiden podium would be a very tasty treat for him, given how hard he's had to work today. But of course, look behind him and you'll find there is an Aston Martin in the interclass of Jack Barker, but perhaps more importantly, there's Jordan Maymar only at 7/10 behind, looking to steal back a spot on that podium in the club class. And that is going to be the big concern for Fox right now. Does he go on the offence or does he go on the defence? Well, I think he's got to go offensive here. The more places he can gain, the better he will be for his chances for that podium. And coming out of Canada Corner, well, right now this is the closest battle on circuit at the moment at least, and we are keeping an eye on all the battles elsewhere. Indeed, the club class is where all the action is at the moment, as Jim Fox right now definitely trying to hold on for that podium, and will most likely try to use Jack Barker as a bit of a buffer to Jordan Maymar. But being the Darren Sharples, he does have sight and he gradually closing the gap on him. 1.1 seconds as Jack Barker sadly is into the pits. Now, if I had to guess, that is going to be for a drive-through penalty for instant points. And if so, that is going to put him behind Sharples. It put him behind sight and I don't believe Barker's luck if so, because that's going to put him most likely just outside the top 10, because also Alan Lever's there. And Lever right now, the 11th place runner in the interclass. Barker making his way down pit rows. I look at my commentary booth window. And I think it is going to be the drive-through there, sadly for Barker, who was on course to recover well into the top 10. But it's all come undone just like that. And well, hopefully we get to see a bit more of him later on the race. There's Alan Lever making his way through, and Jack Barker leaves the pit lane and goes off the limiter. And well, how quickly what is a good day can turn to a bad day for the motor racing driver. As Lever heads down and towards turn number 3. Well, meanwhile, we come back to Adam Lynch, who right now definitely struggling for a little bit of grip out there as we show you the overall standings. Man is running 15th. He has got 2nd, 3rd and 4th in the club class right behind him as we take a quick drink in the commentary booth. And goodness me, ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you one thing. With how exciting and dramatic this racing has been, I've actually had to really hold the glass of water with both hands. I am shaking with my left hand right now, given how exciting this race has been, and the fact that anything can happen at any time to anyone and anywhere. And why I'm hearing in my head that Steve G's had a bit of unfortunate or misfortune happened to him out of the circuit. He is one of the last runners out there. In fact, he is the last runner. He's a lap down on Bacon, but if he can find a way to get onto the lap of Bacon, he will be taking that 31st in the end and gain some more precious points. In fact, I think Steve G will be taking another top 10 finish in the club class towards the back of it, but either way, some very important points for him. But meanwhile, Jeffrey Damon, he has found his way whilst Rostin he has found his way past Robin Aston, and then he found his way off the circuit instead. So Jeffrey Damon, who was trying to move up into 12th overall, suddenly sees it all crumble and fall, and Robin Astor's got the pressure of club leader and Tom Wheeler right behind him as they make the way through the chicane and into towards turn 14 they go. And Tom Wheeler right now just trying to keep it together as Robin Aston, well, he would ideally like to find his way past Graham Vivas as he can. And Graham Vivas, one driver we have not talked about at all today, really. And well, the Phoenix Racing driver going for that single stop, and it has worked out so well for him. So it has put him all the way up into 5th place in the interclass. A great effort from him as he makes his way into turn number 1. A few more laps to go. Behind, however, Robin Aston squeezes his way on part. Well, in fact, Tom Wheeler squeezes his way past Robin Aston as that's a driver trying to unlap himself there. Oh no! Harry Tuamina's into the pit lane, and that's a drive-through penalty surely from, unless it's a pit stop. He's pulling towards the slow lane there in the pit lane. The Hexagon slow driver, as behind him, that's Philipp Hammer in. Michael Schitzer back as well. Well, surely who's going to win this race then? Because Hammer and Schitzer that won't be for drive-through penalties. Surely it won't be. It's going to be for fuel. Now, we were wondering if drivers were going to need to go into the pit lane for a second pit stop for a splash and dash right at the end, given how aggressive the fuel usage is here. But we thought with the wet weather conditions, they wouldn't need to. And, well, Schitzer is into his pit stall. Hammer's into his pit stall. And Mikey Stewart is going to come through here to retake the lead, surely. Or is he? Schitzer leads. So does Hammer. This is going to be so close as Indian Hammer just comes out behind Harry Tuamina. And there is Mikey Stewart. He splits them, and suddenly Philipp Hammer, who was looking for a 1-2 his teammate Schitzer it's now potentially a double podium for pole position of ASR, but Mikey Stewart could split them. Now Stewart got the fuel to get to the end here. That's the biggest question first and foremost, and if he has got the fuel, has he actually got any pace left in the car in him with that fuel tank to be able to make this happen? Well, this could all chop and change again right at the very end, ladies and gents. Indeed, we've got 5 minutes to go, and we're suddenly seeing your leaders, particularly drivers who did go extra laps in that opening stint in order to be able to get to the wet weather and put the wet tyres on with the maiden fuel stop. What does that say for the rest of the field here? Are we suddenly going to see a whole host of drivers pile into the pit lane? We're on lap 38. We'll have 39 coming up shortly. Then it'll be 40. We're not going more than 40 laps here based on our mental mathematics. Will we see anybody peel into the pits over the next 2 laps? And if so, what will that do to this race? Because suddenly we could see drivers who are looking comfortable for podiums and top 5s in classes fall down. And Max Wheeler's the next to go into the pit lane. The Averso fast driver makes his way down pit road. That is going to see him drop down the order to a degree. And well, that's going to see him lose 4th place in the Interclass to Graham Vivers, most likely. Unless the Phoenix Racing driver has made an error of his own strategically. But right now, fuel saving here at Road America has been the operative word. It's been about surviving with the fuel on that first stint to get to the wet tyres without needing to make 2 stops. And then it's been about essentially driving so far off the pace in the wet weather conditions to save the fuel again. Although for Philipp Hammer, it has worked out in it himself and Michael Schützer-Kettleback because they've had such a pace in the wet. And Mikey Sturt, meanwhile, has done the opposite, and it's really bounced out between them. But as the rain has definitely stopped here, or at least at certain parts of the circuit right now, Mikey Sturt heading on down the back stretch, and Schützer-Kettleback 1.7 seconds behind right now. But can he find a response there? In theory, he should be able to, because you would argue Schützer-Kettleback will have enough pace in the car and all the fuel to go full attack until the end, as far as he wants to dare attack in these wet conditions. Mikey Sturt, meanwhile, if he is to stop in this race, remember, of course, he came in initially for what was the fuel, then he came in again for the tyres. Well, that could mean that suddenly he hasn't got the fuel ready to be able to push, and he suddenly finds himself on the back foot. But more back foot here. So Anthony comes on down pit road. That is for fuel. He goes to the slow lane there, and well, that's going to release Miller Boyd on past him. And in terms of other drivers in the interclass, well, I don't think Jack Barker's going to take that back off of him unless the made for racing driver here suddenly finds a way to really build up a lot of speed on the straight. He could do, actually. It's going to be close between the two of them. So Anthony yet to go into the pit, so he does now. But it will be a rather limited splash and dash there. So I wonder where Jack Barker will be to Anthony. And the answer is Sight Anthony about to hit the pit limiter line. There he goes. And as Sight Anthony builds up the speed, Jack Barker behind there. But Barker too far back, I think, to try and make a move happen. So therefore he stays as is as we go on to a penultimate lap for our leaders. But all the battles now have subsided. And we show you those class positions. Tom Wheeler still leading in club. And Jim Fox now picking up the pieces for Harry Tuaminen coming in for what's that quick splash and dash of his own. So suddenly into third in the club class is Jordan Maymar. He's not going to believe his fortunes as the SimCast Altitude 3M driver. He has gone from up to down. It's been a sinusoidal wave, this one has. And right now I think he's going to be riding a bit of a proverbial high rather than sitting in the trough or a bit of a low. Meanwhile, in the interclass, it is still Ashley Brooks who leads. Head of Robin Powney by 11.4 seconds. And then it's going to be Jack Wyborn who is completed that top 3 with Graham Vivers 50 seconds behind, but doing a fantastic job there, it must be said. Right now, those class positions, they could all chop and change, and Schützer-Kettleback gets in very close here to the back of Mikey Sturt as we switch back to your overall standings. And well, our point from earlier on has rung true here. Schützer-Kettleback with all the fuel put back in the car. He's now got enough fuel to get to in lap and go for attack on these laps. We've got Mikey Sturt. He's got to survive. But the one upside is Graham Vivers into the pit lane. Surely that's not going to cost him a top 5 in the interclass, if so, because Robin Aston's not too far behind, and Max Wheeler as well. So Graham Vivers, that top 5 is going to have to wait. Sadly, it's not to be. But right now we're going to say transfixed here to the battle for second place overall in Pro, as Schützer-Kettleback gets a really good run here, coming out of the kink, looking to the outside. He'll then be the inside here towards Canada Corner. He's going to go late on the brakes. 2-1 they enter. Well, Sturt comes across there. Schützer-Kettleback on the inside. They do touch, but in the end it's going to be a move made. James Connie goes very deep at the corner. And as he does, he blocks the outside line there for Mikey Sturt. And Michael Schützer-Kettleback uses that to advantage. Takes second place there. Lovely move from Schützer-Kettleback. I think for Mikey Sturt right now, the car is struggling. There's more pit stops. Adam Lynch into the pit lane. Jordan Maymar into the pit lane. Say it's not so. This could be a race right now where in the end a lot of drivers are not going to be in it to win it. They won't have the fuel to go. But meanwhile, with the fuel to go onto the final lap is Philipp Hammer. He leads then. One more tour with 30 seconds left on the clock. And right now, could it be a 1-2 here for pole promotion with ASR? Because there is Michael Schützer-Kettleback, and has Mikey Sturt got any means left of attacking? I don't think he has. I think the fuel load is just too low for the 169 Ferrari driver, and I think this could be a 1-2 for the German outfit instead, but we'll find out. Ashley Brooks is in for the lead of the interclass, and as he comes on down pit road, is this going to hand the lead to Robin Powney? I think it is, because Ashley Brooks right now is in for a splash and dash. Powney, meanwhile, he went the longest of everybody, 2 laps extra than anybody on the opening stint, and as he makes his way down right now, worst racing team ever are going to see this revived. He did have the mistake at Canada Corner. It hasn't been a flawless race. All he's got to do now is hold on for one more lap, as we do see Brooks going to his pit stall. So who's going to pick up second right now in club? There's going to be Jack Wyborn on his return to the grid for MLC Endurance Team on his debut for this season. What a turnaround this is going to be, and I think Ashley Brooks meanwhile will come out in a secure third for now. Tom Wheeler meanwhile has got Max Wheeler right behind, a big twitch of the car there. And Tom Wheeler is going to let his brother on pass there and not getting his way there. Max in the interclass versus Tom in the club class and leader of club. So why would he want to obstruct the inter-driver? And right now, Max Wheeler tries to attack Robin Aston right at the end. Gianluca Rospo into the pit lane as well. And what was looking to be quite a secure 6th place in the club class. That may go astray to Matt Hunter at this point. And well, Max Wheeler there makes his way past Robin Aston. Aston's got no grip. They're coming out of Canada Corner. It's a lovely move from Wheeler as he heads over the rise. So Max Wheeler now up into 4th place in the interclass. That may be the furthest he goes here, unless we see a mistake for anybody in front. Jeffrey Damon into the pit lane. Is Max Wheeler going to come in? No, he's not. He's got the fuel to go one more lap. As Jack Wyborn battling there with Robin Pownier. Hold up, that's a change for the lead there in the interclass, and Pownier being passed by Wyborn right at the close. How has that happened? Let's get a quick replay as we go back in time. And this was coming out to turn number 5, and it was a mistake from Pownier going up towards 6 as well then. Well, Wyborn was never going to let that go. Looked on the inside here, and Jack Wyborn making a critical move. And Pownier went deep in the corner and found all the water on the exit curve, and Wyborn taking the lead. But with that, we go back to your live racing, ladies and gentlemen. We've still got a third of a lap to go. And as we do come back, well, the clock goes to 0. And here is Philipp Hammer making his way up the hill. And as he does so, one more corner separates him from 3 wins in a row. All he's got to do here is take it nice and easy. And he does so. And for Hammer right now, he took pole position by 4 thousandths of a second. But in the race, there were question marks over whether it be Mikey Stewart could challenge him. But in the end, for Philipp Hammer, he's absolutely nailed it on strategy. He comes on home to take the win. His third of the season on a 2-stop. And it's a 1-2 for pole promotion with ASR as Michael Schutzer-Kennebec takes his maiden podium of the season. Mikey Stewart will hold on to third to the end with the 2-stop strategy not playing out to his favour. Jack Wyborn, meanwhile, can he hold on? Because we can see that Timo Gertner being passed by him going into Canada Ben. And right now, it's all changing still. Jack Wyborn still got to hold on for a little bit longer here. Could he bring on home what will be his maiden win on his debut round of the season in the interclass, where he's not just going to take what will be his maiden win in the interclass. This will be 4th place overall, as Timo Gertner right now, I think, is running out of steam. Wyborn makes his way up the start-finish straight. As he does so, rises up the hill. Will arise a new winner of the interclass. It is going to be Jack Wyborn for MLC Endurance Team. What a drive from him. He takes 4th. Timo Gertner takes 5th. And Robin Pownier, well, it all went wrong with a mistake on the final lap. He takes 2nd in the interclass. They'll be gutted at WRTE. Ashley Brooksville comes home in 3rd with Splash and Dash costing the chance of the inter win, taking that 7th place instead, ahead of Tim Prover, who'll be 15 seconds behind. Here he comes to the finish line. As he does so, he'll be bringing on home 8th place there for Send It Racing. Well, what a solid drive it's been from him, albeit he started further up the field, but he's brought it home at the end. He'll be 5th in the Pro class. Daniel Kovac comes on home in what will be 6th in Pro, 9th on the overall road. The DRXC's, but no, surely, no, he's not going to make it. Daniel Kovac then comes into the pit lane. That's going to reset him to the back of the lead lap. So that means we'll still take the, no, he won't, because Jeffrey Damon then is going to take 6th in Pro, and it will be Daniel Kovac who'll be reset. But meanwhile, Max Wheeler makes it out the final corner. He heads towards the line, and this will be 4th place in the interclass. His championship lead will continue. Reverse so fast as he comes on through. Very happy with that result, given how qualified start. He's ended it well with 9th place overall. And then Robin Aston will come through in 10th place overall, completing the top 5 in Inter with Tom Wheeler, your winner in the club class. It's all been back and forth in a heavily damaged Ford Mustang as well on the front end, but the Aversa Rapid Drive makes it 2 wins in a row, and what a way to do so. And Jim Fox, your runner-up in the club class, the privateer, he takes his maiden podium, his best drive of the season so far, and so close to the win as well. And well, finishing a lap down, 3rd in the class for what we club will be James Conley, and he will come at home there. Just there to Harry Tuaminen and Jordan Maymar completed the club top 5. And well, your last lead lap finisher was Jeffrey Damon. What a race, ladies and gentlemen. Now, as I understand it, Jeffrey Damon has been listed there as 15th to Daniel Kovac. So the only thing I can imagine, Daniel Kovac had a drive-through penalty. He's come into the pit lane to serve it. He has had the time added on to his race, and Jeffrey Damon has still been classified as 15th behind him, given the time delta. So we'll have to wait and see what that looks like in the results, subject to any insurance inquiries. But what a race. And, well, you could not have predicted that whatsoever. Gianluca Rospo just finished ahead of Matthew Hunter there. And, well, Rospo in the end bringing it home. What was 6th place in the club class, just ahead of Hunter. And, well, the circuit may have seen the rain stop, but to be fair, it poured with battles, surprises, drama, you name it, we've had it at Road America. And as our drivers do cool and calm them down, let's take a look at those race results, subject to any insurance inquiries. As here we go, firstly with the overall finishing positions. And as we can see, after 90 minutes of sheer drama and moments here in round number 4 of the Sunday GT3 Championship Season 19, brought to you by UKSimRacing, hosted by SimRacing International iRacing, Philipp Hammer taking the win at Road America for pole promotion with ASR and leading home a 1-2 ahead of his teammate Michael Schitzer-Kedelbach. The Germans taking those top 2 spots there. Indeed, the podium we ring in with the German national anthem, and Mikey Stewart there, the Briton, representing Axis Simsport with Sim Coach, and losing out in the end with a tiny splash and dash of fuel when he could have perhaps stole it away. Well, in fact, not on a splash and dash of fuel, let me correct myself there, but losing out in the end by going for a 2-stop strategy whereby he took the fuel at the start, then had to come in for the wet tyres and could not make it work out. Whereas the big question would have been, if he had extended that fuel tank at the start and in the second stint, could he have stolen things away on a one-stop strategy? Well, that will be a big what-if question. Jack Wyborn in the end, bringing on home the Inter win, and the MRC Endurance team stealing this away from Robin Pownier. But we have Pownier making mistakes right at the end of the race, and Wyborn taking that 4th place overall on his return to the grid after a few seasons away from this championship. But indeed, his debut round of season 19, and what a debut it has been. Timo Gertner, his best result of the season there, 5th place overall for Wild Ride Motorsport and 4th in the Pro class. He'll be ecstatic about that. And 2.7 seconds behind Robin Pownier, the worst racing team ever 44 driver, will be absolutely gutted to have seen that he's missed out on what could have been an infamous win in the Interclass, with what was going 2 laps longer than the majority of the field of the opening stint, but mistakes cost him at Canada Corner and also at turn number 5, and then seeing the win slip just out of his hands. Still second in the Interclass ahead of Ashley Brooks at Axis Simsport with Simworks for Splash and Dash of Fuel at the end, costed him the chance to the win. He was 7th ahead of Tim Probert for Send It Racing, and then Max Wheeler and Robin Aston completing your top 10. The Averso Fast and 5 and Racing Drives also completing the Inter top 5. It's best the rest in length there for your club winner, as I'm getting the classes mixed up in my brain. And that was your club winner, Tom Wheeler there, who makes it 2 in a row for Averso Rapid. But indeed, he wasn't necessarily the favourite today when the wet weather came. He made sure to make the least mistakes of many. And with Jim Fox as well, a brilliant drive to that maiden podium for the 380 Privateer. And could this be the start of something special? He seems to go well in these wet conditions, does Jim, and will definitely get showing his stuff today. Graham Vivers as well, if it were not for that late trip to the pit lane, it could have been a top 5 of the Interclass, but still 13th overall, the Phoenix Racing Drive. Given how he qualified, starting 38th, well, in fact, 36th there, he'll be very happy to have finished in 13th. Daniel Kovac and Jeffrey Damon completed those on the lead lap, 14th and 15th there for DRX Sport and Wild Ride Motorsport. Now it's Alan Lever a lap down there, the first of many, in 16th ahead of Darren Sharples, with James Connolly for Team UKSimRacing Hill round off the club podium there, just ahead of Harry Tuamine and Fax Gone Slow. Adam Lynch completed the top 20. And outside the top 20, 21st place, it was Jordan Maymar, head of Cy Anthony, with Miller Boyd, Jack Barker and Luke Sherlock completing your top 25. And with Miller Boyd having that huge instant of the kink, Jack Barker having some late mistakes and errors of his own, and Luke Sherlock there also having some difficulty, and all 3 drivers there missing out on what could have been a strong round for them. Gianluca Rospo, in the end, despite the errors, taking 6th in the club class there, 26th overall ahead of Matthew Hunter, with Dean Collins, Tobias Hackinson and David Pilcher completing the top 30. Hackinson being 2 laps down, Hilcher being 3 laps down, and Steve G 3 laps down as well, and the last of your classified finishers. Because Casper Rotner in the end, your first of your non-finishers, 32nd ahead of Matt Bacon, and we also did see non-finishers for Ryan Clark, Ben Knowles, Wesley Van Rens, Daniel Page, Troy Anderson, Stephen Parker Hamilton, Hayden Young, and also in the mix there, Pete Cox, and your non-starter of Ashley Coutland with technical issues with his Lamborghini. But then to individual class finisher positions we go, and we start with the pro class, and here we can see 3 in a row now for Philipp Hammer for pole promotion with ASR, and Michael Schützer cared about taking his maiden podium, a 1-2 for the team, when it was almost looking to be a 1-3, but Mikey Stewart in the end losing out, and well, the Axis Sport Sim coach tried throwing everything at it, but Schützer cared about having the pace to make the move happen right at the end. Timo Gertner missed out on the podium by the best part of 42 seconds, but making sure he was 29 seconds ahead of Tim Probert for Send It Race to complete your top 5, and then Daniel Kovac had 6th there, with the RX Esport ahead of Wild Ride Motorsport by 4 seconds, with Jeffrey Damon for the team taking that 7th place, but not his day today. It could have been a top 5, could have even been a chance for a podium, but mistakes and incidents definitely costing the Dutchman dear. Miller Boyd was a lap down, the last of the classified finishers of the Pro Class for Senate Racing Bulls, and it was a non-finish for Casper Brotner, as it was for Troy Anderson, Hayden Young, and a non-start for Ashley Coupland. And then coming to the Interclass, meanwhile, here we can see it was victory for Jack Wyborn, and a surprise win in the end, with that late error for Robin Pownett, enabling the MRC Endurance Team driver to sneak his way back ahead and take that win by 5.4 seconds ahead of the worst racing team ever, 44-222 machine. Still, Pownett will be happy with that podium, and in the end ahead of Ashley Brooks, the man who seems set for victory today, but unfortunately a late splash of dash of fuel was what cost him the chance of the win for Axis Sport SimWorks. Max Wheeler, not quite a win, but still a 4th place, a personal win for the Averso Fast Audi driver, 5 seconds ahead of Robin Aston, who he passed late on at Canada Bend, the 5M racer driver completing the top 5. There's a further 14 seconds back to Graham Vivas for Phoenix Racing, who completed those on the lead lap. Alan Lever, Darren Sharples, Adam Lynch and Cy Anstey completed your top 10 in the Interclass, with Jack Barkham to settle for 11th to be best of the rest of made for racing, and he had multiple opportunities to recover a top 10 finish, but unfortunately errors and incidents towards the end cost him dear. My Aston Martin driver, it was a lap down as well for the McLarens of Luke Sherlock and Dean Collins, and it was a non-finish for Matt Bacon, the teammate of Dean Collins for worst racing team ever, 42, and we also saw non-finishes for Wesley Van Rens and Pete Cox. Then to the club class we go, last but by no means least, and here we did see what was Tom Wheeler bringing on home an incredible win for Verso Rapid, 9.1 seconds ahead of Jim Fox, and in the end, Tom Wheeler proving to be just smart enough on the strategy and also consistent enough and cool on the circuit. And credits where it's due though, Jim Fox taking his best result of the season and at one point having the chance of the win, but once Wheeler got ahead of the field, he was not looking back, and in the end Jim Fox making sure to stay ahead, with Harry Termina falling foul of a small splash and dash of fuel at the end, and James Conley as well having early incidents that cost him dear, and Jordan Maymar strategy his Achilles heel, as well as mistakes at Canada Bend. But it was Wheeler, Fox and Conley completing the podium, and behind the team UKSimRacing Hill Dry, Hexagon Slows, Harry Termina, and Jordan Maymar for Simcast for Altitude 3M. And then we did see also lap down Gianluca Rospo for Deep Motorsport, a bit of a lonely 6th place finish at the end, clearing away from Matthew Hunter for Simcast Racing Team. It was 2 laps down for Hexagon Slows Tobias Hutchinson, 3 laps down for David Pilcher and Steve G, who completed the top 10 there, another top 10 for the GTRR driver. Then we did see non-finishes of Ryan Clark, Ben Knowles, Daniel Page and Stephen Parker Hamilton. And remembering, of course, Stephen Parker Hamilton, the man who took pole position in the club class, but unfortunately all fell apart for him midway through the race. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, that completes your rundown of provisional finishing positions, although I think there will be quite a bit for the stewards to take a look at. But as we make our way from Road America, of course, we leave the US of A, and we'll be coming back there later on this season, I do believe, when we do return to the US of A for none other than Daytona in round number 7. And well, with that, let's take a look at those, what is the official standings of the 4 rounds of racing, and here they are. And we start off with the Pro Drivers' Championship, and we're now 3 wins on the trot. It is a perfect score with a drop score accounted for Philipp Hammer for pole promotion with ASR, and Harvey Wheeler, having missed this round, still holds second, but now is 40 points behind. It's not too far behind, meanwhile, as it does look as though our board has just slightly made its way off the screen, and we do apologise for that. In fact, we'll be right back. We are just going to quickly fix that slight technical issue there. So give us a brief moment, ladies and gentlemen, and we will get those standings properly on screen for you. And we do apologise for that, ladies and gentlemen, but of course we want to show our standings in a full spender, so we come back to those provisional standings, and as we can see, after 4 rounds of racing, Philipp Hammer leads the way ahead of Harvey Wheeler, and Michael Schütz moves into third on 228 points, and he'll be very happy there to move into the top 3 for the first time this season, just ahead of Tim Probert by the best part of 24 points. Behind the Senate Racing Drive, it's Mikey Stewart for Axis Sim Sport with Sim Coach with his first podium of the season, moving into 5th, and then Timo Gertner sits in 6th on 174 points. Jason Baxter, well, not on the grid for the last 2 rounds, but expect him back next time out, and well, he'll be very eager to make up the lost ground and targeting a first win of the season, with Adam Watson not making this round and falling to 8th, ahead of Miller Boyd for Send It Racing. And we have Ashley Coutland having non-finished or non-started in this round, we should say. He's 10th. Troy Anderson and Daniel Kovac complete the top 12. Meanwhile, in the interclass, it is the lead, and the leading way for Max Wheeler with a 4th place day, 2 fourths, a first to a third, and right now the Averso Fast Drive looking very reliable with regards to his points finishes, as Robin Powner sits on 226 points, a bit further behind for worst racing team ever. Then we do see Ashley Brooks, well, he completed the podium today behind Pownier, and well, he completes the top 3 behind Pownier in the standings for Axis Sim Sport with SimWorks, a further 20 points behind. And it's another 14 for Wesley Van Rens before you do then get to Matt Bacon. Both drivers, they have non-finishes. Their first result of the season so far, and it will be dropped. Graham Vivers with an absolutely ecstatic 6th place finish today. He moves into 6th in the interclass. And then we do see Cy Anthony there for team UKSimRacing Stuart, holding 7th at the moment, holding station 150 points, 6 behind Vivers, and in turn 6 ahead of Dean Collins. Then we have Robin Aston and Tom Cordy completing the top 10, with Luke Sherlock and Adam Lynch round off the top 12 of the interclass. Then in the club class we go to, and there we can see it's the leading way for Tom Wheeler, ahead of James Connolly by the advantage of 24 points, with back-to-back wins now for the Averso Rapid Drive. He's now building ahead of steam. Can he make it 3 from 3 at the Hockenheim Ring? James Connolly for Team UKSimRacing, meanwhile, 2nd podium of the season. However, knows he's still got some ground to make up, as Daniel Pays will look to make amends now that non-finish becomes a 0 in his accounting scores, given the fact he missed round number 3. He only gets 1 drop score this season, and therefore he's got a lot of ground to make up for. He's got to look to hang on to the showdown rounds. He's on 200 points, and behind the old dudes in Cars Drive, it's in a further 6 to Jordan Butler, who missed this round, but expect him back next time out, full of vigour. And Jordan Maymar missed out on the podium. That 5th place still holds him on equal footing versus Jordan Butler. Behind the 2 Jordans, it'll then be Jim Fox, the privateer, who taking his first podium of the season, jumps all the way up into 6th place. And then we do see Ryan Abbott's there in 7th for Team Nubish, ahead of Tobias Hansen, with Gianluca Rospo and Matthew Hunter completing the top 10. And then Harry Tuaminen in 11th, ahead of Ben Knowles. Well, Harry Tuaminen will be one to watch now. He's got his 2nd result on the board. And well, how quickly can he rise up through the field? Given we know he's got pace to be on the podium. As for the team standings, well, after 4 rounds, it's pole promotion with ASR with their first 1-2 of the season. And well, now it does mean they've opened up a bit of a gap to Averso Rapid, as whilst it did go well for Tom Wheeler, of course, Harvey Wheeler not being present, and well, that becomes their drop score round. Simcast for Altitude 3M, they continue to sit in 3rd, only 2 points ahead of Averso Fast, and in fact, they've stolen 3rd of Averso Fast, with Averso Fast there seeing the dismal day of Pete Cox make it their drop score of the season so far. And then we have Resolution 3 Racing with Lewis Homewood Racing, they sit in 5th out on 312 points. With Thiago Reza missing this round and Wesley Van Rens having a difficult day, it becomes their drop score, and they're 4 ahead of Spectre Racing SimWorks UK, with worst racing team ever in 7th place on 298, the best part 14 ahead of Wild Ride Motorsports, and with Team UKSimRacing Hill ahead of Send It Racing, completing the top 10 in the team's championship. There could be more to come in the rounds ahead, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, we have a bit of a runaway leader at the moment, but that could change. The drop scores become a bigger factor, and remember, we've got those 3 showdown rounds at the end of the season. But with that, it is now time for us to wrap up. Thank you very much for watching, and if you've enjoyed today's show, and perhaps you're sat there right now wanting to know how you can get on the grid and get into all the fantastic racing action that we do have on a weekly basis here at SimRacing International, including what you've been tuning to today, the UKSimRacing GT3 Championship on Sundays, well, the best thing to do is join our official Discord. Invite link available at the bottom of your screen, and if you do join, well, you'll be on the grid and in a community full of very friendly and familiar-minded individuals, and there won't be a happier place for you in the sim racing space, whether you're a rookie all the way through to an esports professional. In terms of the series you can race in, well, our paid series to include, of course, our Thursday evening GT3 Championship, our Premier Championship that runs 2 splits of 120 drivers in total, 60 in each of our splits. Every Thursday evening, it's 13th instalment. Of course, you've been tuning into today the UKSimRacing Sunday Showdown, the 19th instalment of the Sunday GT3 Championship from UKSimRacing, now part of the SimRacing International family. But if you're looking for something a little bit older in terms of machinery, of course, we do have the Grand Touring Endurance Championship, the GT Championship Season 3, which will be getting underway formally in just under 2 weeks' time of round number 1. But indeed, tune in later this week as we bring you all the racing action as if it were live from the pre-season event. And that's every Friday evening, every 2 weeks. We, of course, do have our brand new Transatlantic Trophy set to get underway with its pre-season media day event this coming Wednesday. That'll be live from circuit side in our Motorsport UK Esports approved championship, dedicated for the opening season to Bruce McLaren's machinery of the McLaren 570S GT4 and 720S Evo GT3. That's every Wednesday, 2 weeks. And of course, if you're looking for something for a bit more casual, if you're looking for something free to enter, and looking just to get up to speed with racing with us at SimRacing International, we do our practice league that runs on Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Saturdays, so there's never been a better time to get on the grid here at SimRacing International, regardless of your skill level. We'd also like to take a moment to say a big thank you to our series and league sponsors, who do include CarMate, Modern Technology, and the GP2 Group, and we'd also like to say a big thank you and a shout out to Motorsport UK's Esports Division for recognising us as a recommended community here at SimRacing International. We're very grateful for that recognition, and long may it continue throughout 2026 and beyond. With that, ladies and gents, we now look to our next round. And in a week's time, on Sunday, the 2nd of August 2026, we make our way to the European continent once again for the Hockenheimring Baden-Württemberg Grand Prix circuit. But one thing that is not going away are the wet weather conditions. It's back-to-back wet weather rounds. It'll be 60 minutes of racing there for a feature-length race. And who exactly is going to survive the wet in Germany and make sure they come out on top? Well, it'll be a home circuit for pole promotion with ASR, and in the Teams Championship and also in the Pro Drivers Championship, it looks so they're starting to run away with proceedings to a degree, although it could be just early favouritism there, and Philipp Hammer will be looking to make it his 4th win in a row. Indeed, can they make it another one too, as Michael Schutzer has taken his first taste of the podium, and he would like another. Meanwhile, in the Interclass, we've seen it's all been chop and change up and down the field today, but one thing that stayed constant is that Max Wheeler leads the way with another 4th place finish, and yet to finish outside the top 5. Can he continue to extend his lead? And as for the club class, Tom Wheeler now on back-to-back wins. Is this the time where Tom Wheeler makes it 3 in a row and potentially makes himself an earlier favourite in the show? Well, for all that and more, come join us as if it were live on Monday the 3rd of August 2026. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, we have been SimRacing International. I've been your host and commentator, Paul Walsh, and until next time, remember to stay safe, stay well, stay smiling, and most importantly, as always, remember to stay on track. Good night.